Oh, hey, we're live. It's not like we've done 99 other ones of these.
That's what one it is.
Fooled ya.
Ta, 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 ta. Yeah, so I looked up and I was like, hey,
I'm cutting you off.
100 episodes.
Let him clap. He's been here 99 other times. Let him clap.
I got 99 podcasts, and this is another one.
This is indeed another one.
This is the 100th one. You couldn't get it. We rehearsed this.
We did it, fellas. We got we're at episode 100, and
Yes,
we were waiting to get to this one because we get a lot of messages and we get a lot of feedback from dare I say fans. I don't know, it feels weird to say that, but people that listen and feel bad for us.
Yeah, people we forced to listen to this show.
People that after they listen to this show, they're like, oh. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are worried about us, and so they wanted to learn more about us, and so that's what we're going to do. After 99 shows, we're going to take some time to actually get to know who we are and all that good stuff. So what we did in the past, not the past few weeks, we've been asking people to send us messages and questions and voicemails and stuff. And that's why it's handy to have the Sketch Zone Hotline. That's right, folks. If you have a question for anyone on the panel at any time, go ahead and use the Sketch Zone Hotline. That's 408-SKETCH-8. That's 408-753-8248. And if you're calling internationally, you can use 011-408-753-8248. So yes.
Or you can leave a message on Facebook, Instagram,
SoundCloud,
Twitter.
Oh yeah, you can Facebook, Instagram, and all that stuff. We had a hashtag. We have a hashtag Sketch Zone. You can use hashtag Ask Sketch Zone, or you can just participate in the chat like a lot of our of our folks do. So, hey, hi. Welcome, fellas, to episode 100. Yeah. Are you guys excited?
I'm very excited. I am here. My dude's excited also. But yeah, it's good to be here.
Yeah.
You made it.
How's y'all's week? It was a big week between 99 and 100.
That's true.
A lot of anticipation, right, Jack?
Heart palpitations.
Yeah.
I have no fingernails left.
Trips to the bathroom.
Wait, what?
I'm nervous, Charlie. I'm nervous.
Jack, I thought we wouldn't talk about that.
Sorry about that.
It's a little weird. It's okay. But
I got 99 podcasts and peeing ain't one.
See?
You did it.
Give the inch.
Sorry. You guys, and people are like, you guys did this for 99 weeks? Yeah.
It's like, help me, they won't let me leave.
So how does this work? How's this show working?
Yeah, what are we gonna do?
Well, actually, I want to know, are you guys ready to get into it, or do you guys want to catch up on things?
Well, I bought something this week, or less.
What are you buying?
Attaboy, way to pick up the baton, Chuck. Yes,
what did you buy?
99 shows, folks.
Well, no, it's a big deal. So let me explain it. Yes, and it took 99 shows for me to get this right because
do we need a sound? Do we need an update? A sound update?
Yes.
All right, this is Charlie's update. Charlie update. 99 shows.
2017.
Thank you. So the update for this week is Charlie bought a very, very cool gift for himself that will probably save him money also. So for the last about 3-4 years, I've been longboarding. So I have a longboard, the traditional one, and I've loved it.
To be
skateboarding or surfing? Skateboarding.
Longboard. Longboard is different.
because you know, if you're surfing, you also can have a longboard.
Ah,
Yeah,
yes.
see out here
But-
when you say
but like-
longboard,
Like
Oh, okay.
but you don't
when
have
you
a
say
surfing
longboard in
waterboard.
California,
difference is-
people thinking, you know, big boy stuff.
Not necessarily, because a lot of people think longboarding too. Anyway, and
Longboard, skateboard.
the big thing here is Charlie's not getting in any kind of water around here because I live in the Midwest.
Because you,
You got a
guys-
big old
you don't
lake.
take a bath.
You got a big old lake. I don't
Well-
think you can surf in that.
Would you like to swim in that lake, Jack?
I swim in that lake.
Get to the
I
All right,
will.
what'd you buy? All right, what'd you
get
buy?
to the-
Don't rush. We are having a good conversation. Don't rush me.
is that what they call it?
Yes, exactly.
What Charlie calls it.
Yeah, stimulating. Anyway, so
Pause.
so I ended up buying what's called a inboard. It's a Monolith, or M1 for short. It's a electric longboard, similar to, if you've ever heard of the other board. Their biggest competitor is the Boosted board. Inboard was also on Shark Tank, and he also had a successful Kickstarter back in 2014. Once they had that successful Kickstarter, they I think eventually then went on Shark Tank, and I believe got more funding, and they started rolling out their boards early last year, at the end of last year. Now, you know me, I'm not Carlos. I don't kickstart anything, but I do wait.
Meanwhile, I kickstart everything.
I do wait, and it's been going back and forth between like. I'm trying to keep going because there's a little dig, but I want to keep going. It went between the Boosted board, which is a really good board, great company. There's a vlogger on YouTube I follow, Casey Neistat, that's zipping around New York City on it. So it's one big advertisement for always. And then there's the M1 or the inboard. Inboard seems to have everything I would like. It's more internal. The motors are inside the wheel. Really cool. We'll put a link in the show notes, whatever. We won't put it on here just in case they blast us for advertising or something. So check it out. It's really, really cool. I'm really excited. And it's shipped in a week. I bought this last Saturday. FedEx says it'll be here tomorrow.
What?
Do I take off work? That's questions.
Work from home. Work from home.
Ooh,
Why don't you have it shipped to work?
I'm sick.
Why
Huh?
not? Yeah.
I know, because then if it didn't come and it came on the weekend, I was like,
This
eh.
is true.
And then since they're in the city, it takes it to the nearest FedEx in the city. Now
Can't you
I'm-
try? Oh,
Now might be-
you want to
now
talk
might be-
about?
Yeah, impossible journey on lunchtime that Charlie is trying to get across the city and back to work in an hour.
To do anything picking up packages in Chicago, you need a vacation day.
Exactly. I would take a half a day because I'm like, I gotta go pick up this thing, and it says it's on North and such, which is 20 minutes to a half an hour.
How is it?
The
How
hour.
is it? How is it that I live on the north side and I have to go like down to Stony Island to pick up my damn
Yeah.
package?
What do you mean? You passed
Like, you
No, sir. Those are post office. Those are not FedExes. It is now over here. 173rd and Kinsey. Oh, really? Okay, cool. No. So
Perfect. Right where I left it.
really, out in the burbs, he comes to my house. The dude's like, "There's nobody here to sign for this." All right, it's probably at the FedEx. 15 minutes up the road. So we'll do that. Excited. So excited.
Charlie got a new electric.
We might
Yeah,
do a
man.
review next week.
Skateboard.
Just because. I might set up the camera across the room and we might do
See you whizzing across the hallway.
That would be a really cool.
I could set it up on a desk here. I could do that. I have a new desk.
No,
for
that would be a really cool. We gotta get you to get like a Gorilla Pod or something, and then you attach it.
unboxing. Ah, yeah.
Do the unboxing, and then
the Gorilla Pod, so you can connect your phone, and then we could do a show as you're like lazy boarding around town.
Will Terry style.
Yeah.
Terry style. Let's do it.
I take you downstairs into the dining room.
Shout out
It's-
Will Terry.
It's set up in the dining
Shout out
room
Will
with one
Terry.
spotlight. It's like, okay, here it is. I go out my house. It's dark, and I am like in the dark because it has headlights. It has
What?
little lights,
Got
and it
headlights?
has front lights and back lights. Now you would think it sounds bulky, but like the coolest thing about the inboard is that like everything's inside the board. There's no big bulky battery on the bottom
I gotta look this
or
thing
anything
up.
like that.
Inboard.
It's
Hey,
amazing.
just wait for the show to be over. The link is going to be on the show notes.
Yes.
I'm the one who's got to put the link in there, so I better figure it out.
So yeah, so while Charlie digs up the link,
I got it for you.
I kind of have to. I'm super excited, and that's why I'm talking all over myself. I'm interrupting myself, if you will.
You got an update too?
9 shows, and I still don't know how to talk.
Well, that's English part. So
Do you need an update, Tom?
Speaking of being a fan of people that are doing their thing, their own thing, we talked about it a little bit last week where, you know, Disney, we found out that Disney was getting sued by by a writer,
right.
And I got on my soapbox and I talked about
You did.
take the time to work on your own stuff.
You did.
And then eventually what's going to happen is if you work on your own stuff, then at least you have your own stuff. And then your own stuff is going to help you work for the people that you might want to work for. And if not, at least you have your own stuff and people are going to come to you and have you work for them. And you're going to make money the more stuff you do. And it's a little more helpful if it's your own stuff. All that to say,
Right.
if you follow DaCosta, which I think everyone does already, so
I know him. He's my Pinterest.
Yeah.
I mentor him for Pinterest. It's really good.
he's your
Pinterest mentee.
He's your apprentice?
he's your
Pinterest apprentice. Yes.
he's your pentee.
by a Pinterest.
A Pinterest?
Focus.
Sounds like appendix. It's weird.
Focus. So listen, Sketch Zone Nation. Go to Sunny, SUNNY, Sunny and Gerd, GERD.com.
Ooh.
Sketch Zone family member DaCosta has announced that he's been working on this short film. You can take a look at the teaser, and it's supposed to be released. So it's called Spring Cleaning. The short film is called Spring Cleaning, and look at how cute he is. Oh, DaCosta, you're adorable. His short film Spring Cleaning is due to be released spring 2017.
Right, Costa.
There you go. We should give him a hand.
So yeah,
take a hand clap for that.
yeah, he did.
He's been working on this a long time.
A long time.
Speaking of working on things for a long time, we've been doing this show for like 2.5 years now.
This is true.
Yeah.
And I wanted to run down a little bit, you know. I don't want to take complete credit. I don't want us to take complete credit for things, but let's take a quick look. Since being on the show, DaCosta has worked on his own film. He got motivated by Sketch Zone, and he's now working on his own film. Steve Tukowski has been on the show since being on the show. He's I think this is this public? Yeah. He announced it on Facebook already. He signed a deal with or a development deal with Jim Henson. Do you guys remember
Stuff's popping.
What I was about to say his name and I completely forgot. He makes the Photoshop brushes.
Oh,
Crap. I just bought some brushes yesterday. Kyle Webster. Thank you. Now, I'm not trying to take credit for all this stuff that's happening, all this good stuff that's happening. I'm just saying it's a weird coincidence that all these people come on the show. Kyle Webster has been selling a monstrous amount of Photoshop brushes. You can go to kylewebster.com and see what I'm talking about. My man is a professional illustrator, makes his own Photoshop brushes. He was hanging out with Adobe like last month at Adobe, and they were streaming all kinds of live content, and he was showing off all his new cool brushes, and it's pretty dope. And there's other things that we can brag about, but you know, we're a humble crew. We don't want to take credit. We just want to say we're here for you. When you come on the show, good things happen. That's all I want to say.
Mhm.
With that being
I
said,
like it.
with that being said, let's talk about more good things. YouTube TV.
Yeah, I'm into this.
I'm so excited for this. And if you guys don't know what we're talking about,
Into this.
basically Google, who owns YouTube, went and signed the deals that Apple was trying to sign. Apple wanted to make deals with the cable companies and then stream everything live on the Apple TV. Something happened. They didn't get the deals done. And so it just didn't happen. Now YouTube came out. I think the cities are New York, Chicago, LA, San Francisco,
I can get
and
it.
Philadelphia. Randomly Philadelphia. You don't ever hear of Philadelphia in the news, but they made it. They made the cut. There's these 5 big markets that you can buy for $35 a month. You can watch live TV on YouTube. And if you have the YouTube app, you can watch live TV on your YouTube app.
Mhm.
So this starts to make sense for all of our cable cutters out there.
Hmm.
What are you guys thinking about that?
It's pretty cool. I think depending on how good it is and the reviews it gets when people get it, hopefully I'm pretty sure I can get it since I'm so close to Chicago.
Yeah, I'm
Can't
sure.
wait to try it. And then that would be a big cut to the old cable internet bill. I don't have to worry about internet, which I'd rather use anyway. So that'd be awesome. Jack?
Yeah, I'm ready to dump.
Jack's ready to go.
I'm already I'm pre-ordering right now. No, you know, I've been in and out of TV over the years. I've done without cable. I've had it reinstalled. I have DirecTV now, and it's just so expensive. And to be honest, most of the channels you get are complete garbage. Like they offer you 250 some plus channels, most of which you don't actually get anything on, or the content is just total garbage. And it just makes sense. I mean, you don't have to have like some weird guy come to your house and install some cables, and then like you're tied into some awful contract that doesn't, you know, archaic stuff. Like it's just obvious. This is the way it's going to go, and it has to go.
Right.
This is how every other media and content is being delivered. I don't know why. Well, I know everyone knows why. It's the networks. That's why it took so long. But it's finally here. So I'm optimistic. I mean, quality will be a question, of course. But you know, they've got that stuff on lock. I mean, HBO and Netflix have got that figured out. So
YouTube also has HD options. And when HD kicks in, it's legit.
Yeah.
I know I'm excited
Yeah, it should be good.
because now it's forcing providers to actually create quality content. Because like Jack just got done saying, how is it that you have 250 channels and then they charge you extra for HD? 250 channels, and on a Sunday late morning, you're flipping through channels and there's nothing to watch.
The only argument I've ever heard to why that is, and it does make sense, especially given our current political climate and what has been said about public broadcasting and publicly funded. The reason they bundle TV channels together, and the reason there's some like bad ones in with the good ones and with the, is because that's the only way that they can make the public ones or the less funded ones afford, like they can actually sustain them. Like you got to get your ESPN subscribers in order to fund the PBS TV shows, which makes complete sense. So if you're going this route, and it's every man for themselves, so you've got HBO releasing their content, you got NBC now releasing their own content. It's like if PBS can't support themselves, you know, these other stations aren't there to help them anymore. So that is a totally valid option. However, it's so much cheaper for them now to distribute their content. PBS can go straight through YouTube, and people will either watch it or they won't. You know, if people don't watch it, it means their content's terrible, and it doesn't. We shouldn't be supporting it anyway. But yeah,
so
I mean,
if you think about it, to get, you know, it's not bad political speak, but anyway. Moving on. It's like. It's like the bad part of socialism, right?
Yeah.
You have content creators that are making really good content that get all the eyeballs, and they're dragging along the ones that aren't as high quality. Whereas, I mean, this is reminiscent of what iTunes did to the music industry.
That's exactly it. It's exactly the same thing. Yeah.
And now look at that. I mean, for as much as people complain about iTunes and all this stuff, the fact that I can go through, I would rather pay 99 cents for one song that I really, really like than $13 for 11 songs that just to get to that one song. Right.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's what they're going to start doing with the TV stuff is you'll just pick what you want. And, I think that there is a potential that it actually in the long run will cost the customer more. Because if you think about like I have a Hulu and I have a Netflix and I have an HBO, like that alone right there is almost $35.
Yeah.
You got like a $9.99, a $14.99, another $9. You know, so it's like you're creeping up, and like if you start picking each ones you want, you're back at your $120 a month for premium cable. So, however, it's stuff that I picked. I can cancel anytime.
Right.
And that, you know, I don't want all these other terrible shopping channels or, you know, whatever movie channels I don't watch. So,
you know what's crazy? Because here, I'll give you a brief breakdown. For $35 a month, you get 6 accounts.
Okay, that's good.
Stream live TV, unlimited DVR.
And that's all kept online? That's like there's no box or anything. It's just...
No, it's on the cloud.
Right. Comes with 6 accounts, all the TV, none of the commitment. What's included for $35? There's ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC, CW, ESPN, tons of sports channels, UFO, USA. I read USA and FX at the same time UFO came out.
Wow. That sounds like a good channel.
One network per eyeball. ESPNU, ESPN News, Bravo. So you can get your Desperate Housewives or whatever it is that what is it? The Crazy Housewives of.
So do they have MTV?
I do not see MTV. I do see E.
Okay, they have
and they have the Golf Channel, which is very important.
Yeah.
Disney XD.
Okay. What else?
Sprout, CNBC,
there's a lot of stuff
Fox
on there.
News.
Disney Junior?
It's a ton. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
What about VH1?
40 channels. VH1. Nobody watches that. Nobody cares.
Everybody watches.
Where are they now?
You know why? No.
Why?
That's all the reality shows. You got like Love and Hip Hop, all that stuff. I'm just trying to think for people, crazy people.
What's cool though? What's cool? This is a really important move for YouTube. YouTube Red original products, I guess, shows, whatever.
YouTube original.
If you have, no, that's included in the 35.
But that's a channel. They got their own channel now. Right?
That's everyone's channel. If you have a channel and you have exclusive content that you want to offer via YouTube Red, you can. It's basically YouTube Red is a paywall between you and your audience. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So imagine, it's along the lines of Netflix.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So it's YouTube's version of Netflix. Now they do have 2 currently. I'm sure that this is going to change, but they do have 2 add-on networks. One is Showtime for $11 a month, and for some, maybe it's just me, but there's a big question mark over my head. For some reason, they're charging $15 a month for Fox Soccer Plus.
Because they know people will pay it. I don't know.
There's a bunch of there are a bunch of soccer. Soccer is one of the or foosball.
Well,
one of the more popular sports.
Yeah, and I think the thing you have to remember is they're distributing. They have access. I mean, their potential clientele is damn near the whole world. Whereas DirecTV or Time Warner Cable, they're dealing with like regions, like small, know. So they cater to that specific area, and they got to do contracts with that. Like this is just like going out there to pretty much the whole world.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if there's limitations on regions and watching. There I'm sure there are, but
we're talking about a company. We're talking about a company that Google is trying super hard to spread internet to the world. They're doing things like floating Wi-Fi hotspots on hot air balloons over areas of the world that they can't reach with internet. Yeah. This is the kind of company that we're dealing with. If you make YouTube content, let's say you have your channel on YouTube Red, listen up, DaCosta. Actually, DaCosta and I have talked about this a little bit. He kind of gave me a peek behind the curtain. But for people like DaCosta, let's say, he's coming out with his film here pretty soon, spring 2017. If he chose to, he could, if he continues to make short films, long films, it doesn't matter. He can put that content on YouTube Red. And now he's reaching, if you can have access to Google products, you have access to YouTube Red. If you have access to YouTube Red, you have access to DaCosta's content. So yeah. So there. YouTube TV. The URL is tv.youtube.com. But then if you're like in the middle of nowhere, Rockford, is not going to happen.
You are silly. Realize that you did.
Brutal.
Take that, Rockford.
Wow, you made Rockford. You ain't be able to go back there ever.
I don't need to go back ever. That's the thing about Rockford is the exit sign.
Oh, man.
It's a sign that says Chicago 90 miles.
Oh, man. All right.
Let's
get into it.
All right, let's get into it. We have some voicemails, but I wanted to start out with this was a text message that one of our loyal listeners,
one of our lawyers, they said, don't do the show.
You will be sued. Fitzy, what's her name? Fitzpatrick?
Fitzmaurice.
Fitz what?
Fitzmaurice.
Fitzmaurice, that's the one. She says, "Hey guys, I'm really looking forward to your 100th show. I think it'd be great if you spent a small bit of time talking about each of you, what each of us do for a living and where you come from."
You don't know where I come from. That's why I'm asking the question.
Jack, calm down. Jack got emotional.
I only started watching the show a few months ago. I think she started watching when Robert was on.
Okay.
But we're not judging you, Fitzy. We're not. You need to talk. You need to like take a look at your friend choices. But I only started watching you.
Just stop
the show a few months ago. I would love to hear about each of you. What made you do so? We can break this down because this is a really cool. This is basically what we wanted to do.
Yeah, it's a good place to start
for the show. So let me read it all, and then we can go step by step. What made you do what you do, and how did you get there? What did you do to get where you are now? What types of things did you focus on studying? how did you approach these things to get your skills up in a higher level? What was your first job and how did you get there? Okay, so first off,
Wow, that's not.
Your life story.
Life story. Yeah. What made you? No. What was the first question? Well,
Where you
I
live?
think it'd be good
what you do.
talking about each of you, what you do, and where you come from.
Where you live, what you do.
Yeah. So first off, let's break that down. Where are you guys from?
Charles.
Okay. I'm originally from Fort Wayne, Indiana, second largest city in Indiana, next to Indianapolis, northeast Indiana. Yep, that's where I'm from.
Cool.
And I live now in Chicago.
And now he's in Chicago. Hey, Jack.
I am originally from Racine, Wisconsin, just north of Chicago, fairly rural. And I went to school in Chicago, and now I'm in Los Angeles.
I am originally from Chicago, and now I live in the Bay Area. So then, what do you guys do?
Come on, Charles. Give us
Charlie, what do
this.
you do for a living?
We got a pattern. We got a pattern.
Okay, you got a
Keep
pattern.
the rhythm going.
No, okay. So I'm a lead 3D artist at a company called Next Now. It's Next Now Agency. It's
You're a what
nextnowagency.com. I'm a lead
You're a what
3D
artist?
artist. Lead 3D artist.
Okay, cool.
Just let me go. Look quick.
No, you said it, and I
Jumping
didn't.
down people's throats today, Carlos.
Just trying to be clear.
Okay,
Trying to give
yes.
the fans what they want.
No problem.
Oh, that's an echo. I like that.
And what they want. Anyway,
What they want.
so I'm a lead 3D artist at a company called Next Now. It's
And he rubs his hands really hard on the microphone.
It's a oh my god, Carlos, you're crazy tonight. It's an experiential company. Does a lot of different things like VR, AR, motion graphics, VFX, whole nine. And I run the
Awesome.
art department with the art director.
Awesome. Jack?
I am currently a supervising director of animation at DreamWorks Television. I don't believe I'm allowed to disclose the project, but it's coming very soon. And
Did you work on DaCosta's film?
No, I did not.
No? Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Nope, did not.
Ah, boy. I got a new title. So I am what they call a content and alliances lead. So basically what I do is I talk to other companies and see how we can leverage each other's technology to make money for both companies.
Right.
So basically it's business development is what I do.
Cool.
Real
Thanks,
quick,
Coach.
who wants to real quick? So I just want to add to those questions. How did we meet?
We all met at the same place a long time ago.
Yeah.
The watering hole,
Good old Schaumburg, Illinois.
the Art
We all
Institute
went to school together.
in Illinois, yes.
Illinois Institute of Art,
Yeah.
Schaumburg.
We all went to that.
However, you guys were classmates.
No, we weren't.
Oh, you weren't?
Loosely. No.
See, I didn't know that.
I graduated right when Charlie started. Like I graduated and then
Charlie graduated right when I started.
Right. So I graduated. I got there.
Reaction.
Wait, hang on, Carlos. Were you his RA?
No,
Oh,
No.
that would have been an awesome chain of events.
that would have been Chinese. Yeah, that would have been
Yeah.
cool.
And that's it. I always forget that we were all RAs.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, we are RAs also. So I got there fall of 2000 in October and graduated in March of 2004. And then Carlos, you got there when?
I got there in 97, sometime in 97. I don't
Thanks,
even
huh?
remember. And then I graduated in 99.
Wait, hang on. Was it already Art Institute by that point?
Yeah, I was there. I got there right when they got bought out by, right when Ravo got bought out.
So it was called Ravo College.
So
of Art
I
and
had
Design.
to. Yeah, I had to do the portfolio review and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And then, Jack, when did you come to the Illinois University of Art?
Oh boy, it was 2002 fall semester.
And you graduated
05.
05, so a year after me.
Summer 05. Yeah.
And all between that time, you know, after the first 3 months, then I became an RA. And then I was
Resident assistant of the living facilities, for those of you who don't know what that is.
resident assistant, yes. And I was your RA, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Carlos's best friend from college was my RA. So you had just left because you were doing things. And then Jack took over.
I was out in the world.
And Jack was my best friend's roommate, which was Patrick, who's been on the
Patrick.
show.
Yeah,
So there's another cycle.
And Patrick was an RA also.
we got to get him back on the show because he went from contract to full time back to contract.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, that's interesting.
I got a lot of ideas for shows for people. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. So what made you guys want to do what you do?
Cool. So
And how did you get there?
Cool. So I've always wanted to do something with art. I grew up loving comic books and movies and special effects. So after college or high school, I wanted to go into college and do computer animation, modeling, and special effects. So that's why I went that way. And I also had a keen thing for science and stuff like that. So technology was always at the forefront. So it just was a natural occurrence. And I went through college, scared to death and always looking on how to make myself better. After I graduated, took me about 2 years after I graduated. I did architectural and did little jobs those first couple years as you're learning how to make it on your own, because I can't go back to Fort Wayne. There's nothing there. And I finally, off of a friend's advice, because I didn't move out to California to do the film thing, they said to look into working at a game studio or something like that for the time being. So I tried it, and the first studio I applied at was Electronic Arts. They gave me an art test through some networking that I had from people that I knew already worked there, and I networked my butt off, and a producer let me apply and gave me a good word, even though he didn't know me at the time. So they gave me an art test. I nailed the art test, surprisingly, and I was one of the first people they hired from the Illinois Institute of Art in like 7 or 8 years, because they just stopped going to that school for a while, and worked at EA Chicago for like 2 years. After that, worked at another game company called High Voltage Software for 5 years. For 5 years, and then 6 years. I'm sorry. And then taught at the college level for 5 years and did some freelance. And then I've been at Next Now. Was going to go freelance like my buddy Patrick, but got a 4-month contract. That contract turned into a full-time position. Plus, they offered me the lead position because they liked my work so well during the contract period. So they asked me to run the 3D department. And I've been there ever since. And that's been almost 2 years now.
And I always say this, Charlie has always been one of the hardest studying / working / keep up to dating.
Yeah.
This kid is that when, yeah. So, yeah, I'm done kissing your ass, Charlie. I'm done. I'm done. Jack, your turn, Jack.
I missed a spot.
I've told this story a couple of times, but the honest reality is I don't really know how I got here. And I don't say that facetiously. I say that like truly wholeheartedly, because when I was a kid and, I was in high school, like nearing graduation point, and it was like coming to the point, well, what do you want to do? What school do you want to go to? All this. I had no idea. I wasn't terribly good at a whole lot of stuff. Then again, I wasn't like active in a lot of stuff. I didn't really play sports. I wasn't in like any major clubs. the one thing I've always had was art and drawing and stuff. So I figured obviously it's going to be something to do with that, but I have no idea. I don't even know what the career options are. And my intent was, well, both of my parents were teachers. So I was figuring, hey, I'll just become an art teacher because it's stable. I won't get paid a lot, if at all, but at least it's
starving artist is a thing.
At least it's awesome. Like somewhat stable, right? You know, there's always a teaching job. And my mom was kind of like all for that because she was a teacher, and it was likelihood that I would work at some school nearby, or at least in a nearby state. My dad was kind of hesitant, and because he was a professional commercial artist, he was an illustrator and designer. He did like instruction manuals for tractors and stuff of like how stuff goes together and like how to repair and stuff. And he was like a photographer for a long time. And he sort of was like, you know, getting into art is fine. Just don't do the fine arts because you just won't make money. Like, don't become a painter, don't be a sculptor. Like, that's fine. Just do something like commercial related, right? Like commercial art, whether it's, you know, whatever it is. So that's what started the idea. I'm going to go do commercial art. So then I started touring schools, and still at this point, I had no idea what my end career was. But I, you know, I was like, oh, graphic design, because that's what everybody says when they're, you know, like, right? You don't know what else to say, so you're like, I'm a graphic designer. So I started looking at these schools for graphic design, and I end up, I mean, I tried to get into Pratt. I looked at MIAD in Milwaukee and like all these pretty like high-end schools. And I was touring the Art Institute, and they had the animation program, and I was just like, that's totally it. You know, all of a sudden it just like clicked. I was like, I want to do animation. And animation was always something I was interested in as a kid. It never occurred to me that that was something I could actually do. It was more like the kid, then there's those magicians that make movies, you know. It wasn't like there was no actual, I mean, being from Wisconsin, that's so removed from your reality that you don't ever view that as a possibility. So it wasn't until like I saw it on the wall and other students producing this work that I was like, oh, that's an actual option. Okay, let's do that. and even going to school and being involved in that, I never really had an intent of moving to LA or working in the film industry. I embarrassingly admit that I didn't really know what I was going to do with my degree. I figured I'd either become a teacher or I would work at some small studio doing design work. And then the school has a film festival called Artimation, and I entered a couple of pieces. And a headhunter recruiter out here, Rochelle Lewis, found me and was like, hey, do you want to come out for an interview? She worked at Digital Domain at the time. And of course, I'm like, yeah, sure. I had never been to LA. I never went to Disneyland as a kid. I had no idea what to expect. And I got hired from a phone call interview, and I just came out here totally blind. And that's and I've been doing film and TV production work for the past 12 years now. So looking back, it's a perfect fit. I don't see how I would have ended up anywhere else. But at the time, I had absolutely no intent and no vision of my future. It was just that like stupid artist kid that was like, I don't know, whatever, we'll roll with the punches. So that's how I ended up where I am.
It's awesome.
It's funny to me how when I sit back and I reflect on things, so much of my life was based on not having any money. You know, it took me a long time to realize that not only rich white people go on vacation. And that sounds funny, but it's true. Like the day so my dad moved to Miami, and I was in late high school years. My dad was living in Miami, and my older brother and I went to go visit. And then we came back for senior year, and everyone was like, oh, what'd you do for vacation, for summer vacation? I was like, oh, we vacationed in Miami. And that's literally the day that I started looking at the world and saying, wait a minute, things are different. I don't know why, but that's the moment that I thought to myself, because all the Cubans I grew up with worked in a factory, they built cars, they did all this stuff. So I figured I was going to be a mechanic, I was going to be something blue collar. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not trying to diss anyone. But could you imagine me in a factory? I'd probably break the place down. I would ruin it because I can't sit still. I can't sit still. So then I went to the Army because I knew I wanted to go to school. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I didn't have any money to go to school. And so I went to the Army, came back. Now all of a sudden I can afford to go to school. Still didn't know what I wanted to do. I got into psychology. I actually became a mental health technician at a hospital in Chicago. Started going to school for psychology and stuff. And then like literally one of the old ladies that was my patient almost died. And I was like, I can't do this. I don't want to deal with fixing people. And then you finally fix them and then they almost die kind of thing. So that's not for me. Moving on. But I kept the entire time, I just kept drawing and doodling. When I was in the Army, I was drawing and doodling. And then people would put me to work to do different things. And then when I was doing the mental health technician thing, I was drawing and doodling. And one of the guys there said, you need to get the hell out of here. You have talent. You need to, there's no money in this. You need to get the hell out of here. And that always stuck with me. Mm-hmm. So then I found a school in Chicago that taught advertising. And I was like, I can do this. This is good. And I was getting, if I'm interested in something, there's no stopping me. And then if there's something that no one knows how to get to, I figure it out. And so I figured out how to go to school. And then I went to school and I got my degree in advertising. And then I don't know if you guys remember Russ Lip. Mm-hmm. Russ was going to school with me. That's how we met when I was going for my first degree. And then he was like, this isn't, I'm going to this other school for animation. And then I went to go to like an open house or whatever with Russ. And then I started seeing this stuff moving. And I was like, whoa, this is magic. I've always wanted to make some kind of cartoon, some kind of something. And so I finished up my advertising degree and I went into animation because doing still, and this is like computers weren't even real big yet. Like I was still marker rendering. I was still like all of my ideas were like penciled in and stuff. Like storyboards were literally boards. So then we got into animation, or I went to do the animation thing, and I just kept being really good at it. But then the whole ADD thing, like I joke around about that a lot, but it's kind of true. Where, I'd sit there for days working on a model, you hit render and it's not right. And I was just like, this is driving me crazy. And so that's right around when Flash started coming and becoming more and more popular. So now Flash actually, it satisfied my creative side of what I wanted to get to in my brain. And then it was super cool because all you had to do was command enter and then things are starting to happen. Nice. And it's crazy. It's crazy how, anyway, so even though I like to think I was really good at 3D, I got a lot of really good grades in all my 3D classes, but Flash was where it was perfect for me. So then I got, my first job was as a multimedia designer, I guess, at a multimedia firm in the Chicago area. And then I just followed that path. But then I was working on websites, and then, the dot bomb had dropped and then there was no work. And then that was right around the time that Jack was like, hey, So I'm moving to California. And I was like, well, that's a lot of fun because I can't find a job. He goes, well, you want to come? What do you have to lose? And I was like, very good point. So we packed up all our stuff and moved to California. And if you remember, Charlie was on his way back home from, I think it was from Fort Wayne.
Yeah. You
called and you're like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, me and Jack are moving to California.
And I was looking for people to do something because I just got back. I just got back and I was at my apartment. I was like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, moving to California. Well, you're not hanging out then tonight. Why are you moving to California?
My favorite was we had this like 15, 16-hour drive ahead of us. And this was right at the time. I mean, no YouTube, no streaming, no nothing. So Carlos and I stop at a Best Buy, I think it was, and we were like, let's get Sirius XM radio, the little one they had the little boxes.
Yeah.
And I remember both of us got it, and we walked up to the counter, and they like had to have you fill out the contract because it was like TV. You had to sign up for a contract, whatever. And the woman goes, okay, and what's your address? And we both looked at each other, and we're like, we don't have addresses. We're moving. She's like, well, where do we send the bill? And we're like, we don't know yet. They're like, do you have an old address? And we're like, yeah.
Send it to my mom's house.
Yeah. Send it to I-94 in Oklahoma.
Yeah. That was funny. So then I moved out, and then kind of a long story short, I worked at Hallmark Channel for a minute.
Just a minute.
And then I moved back home. I got a job offer back home making some pretty good money, and I was going to be back home.
Right.
So then I did that, and then I ended up working for Leo Burnett, Arc Worldwide, and Leo Burnett. I did a bunch of contract work and stuff. And then I was doing a contract work for them, and then they're like, yeah, we're going to have to go ahead and keep you here. And so I did that. And then I guess I hadn't gotten enough of California. So after I was at Leo Burnett for like, 5-6 years or something. And I was like, I'm burnt out. I think I need to be in California again. Plus, I was working on a bunch of tobacco products and stuff, and I've talked about that on the show before. But it's a thing. Like when you're working on something that you don't wholeheartedly believe in, I guess, is a good way to say it. The money was good, but anyway. So I moved into California, and I started working on movie websites, and then Flash disappeared, and so did my career. And then it gets to a point in your life where you realize that you've learned so much throughout your career that it's almost, for me, it was a natural transition to go from a production end of things, like constantly creating, to then, okay, now I have all of these stories and all of these lessons under my belt. I turned more into almost like a coach.
Yeah.
And so the transition now is where I'm able to go. I understand programming. I understand the creative end of things. I understand the whole process of delivering on a technology project. So now I'm able to then take all of my knowledge, go somewhere else, and have a conversation to figure out how to make money, basically, at the end of the day. But that's when I get home, or when I'm not working, I'm always still feeding that creative beast, or the wolf, I guess. feeding that creative wolf where, you know, there's still things that I want to do, but they have to be my things.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't want to work on someone else's thing. I want to work on my thing. Whether, you know, whatever the case may be, whether it's this podcast, whether it's whatever else. Right. So anyway, that's how I got here. She also asked, what types of things did you focus on studying? And how did you approach these things to get your skills up to a higher level?
Cool. So
go for it.
So quick things if that could help anybody out who's maybe, if you're listening, you're in school right now or whatever. Some of the things I studied in school was I used the crappy internet, because now the internet's amazing, but back when I was in school, the internet was crappy. But when it was there was a lot of forums and a lot of message boards. Cool thing about that is a lot of these computer arts message boards, animation message boards and stuff like that had a lot of the other pros and stuff on them. So I learned a lot from them, a lot from their work in progresses that they would post every day, a lot from their tutorials they would post from every so often. There's sites you can go to like 3dtotal.com, CG Society, polycount.com, ArtStation is another good one because they also have a blog side of things, and the almighty YouTube has a bunch of stuff that place we're streaming on right now has a bunch of place nows, because those places are amazing. And now you have a bunch of paid sites and stuff like that you can always find information with, but YouTube has a bunch of stuff. You can find anything you pretty much need in terms of learning software online. And then there's also a bunch of creative artist-driven learning sites where artists are teaching you, people that work during the day and take all their time in the evening to teach you. And there's a bunch of ways you can do that. So I did that in school because I was terrified of the work that I saw professional artists doing. And I was like, I have to figure out how to level up. And I felt like no one was doing it except my core group of friends, which is my second part of the whole thing. Find people that help you level up, because if they're looking up the same stuff you are, you help each other. All my friends, all my close friends that I was close to in college are still my friends now, and they've all been successful in the art industry. All of them. You know, if they weren't that close, that means they weren't that successful. So that means that everybody will push each other. You know, the second week of college, I found myself on the campus, and we went into a computer lab where there's a bunch of other guys playing video games, talking about art and stuff like that. And who was the loudest person when I come out the elevator? Oh yeah, Carlos. So like, find people that help you level up, because all his friends that he went to school with were all there and still coming back to the school, and they all had successful jobs, and they're all great, and all of them are like directors and did different things and stuff like that. So that's the best thing to do, and that's what I did in school. I just found like-minded people, and then I spent a lot of money at every convention, either on comic books or art of books, and more than what my parents probably even know, because I have a nice little stash over here of like art books.
in your scary closet.
Yeah, like literally, I have exactly. I have an art book collection that would rival, and when those books, and the reason why they're so like precious to me is because I bought those instead of eating. So I would drop $600 at a con.
Wow.
Like no lying. I can say this now because I'm 36 and I don't think my mom will whoop me anymore. I don't think.
I don't think she would. Well,
but you know, like literally every movie that came out, I was at Borders buying a book. And then 3D Art Magazine and what is it? All the other ones, Digital Art Magazine, and all these other ones from Europe that are like $14.50 a pop. I was buying them every month, you know, because they had extra tutorials that the teachers at school weren't teaching me. So eventually, I was being asked to come up in front of the class and run the thing because, you know, I knew a lot of different stuff, and I was always at work. And the last thing, and then I'll move it to Jack. If you can, and you're in school right now, if you can get a job where you work on campus, do that, because you'll study and learn so much more than if you're working at Subway. Now, if you can't get another job and you have to work at Subway, fine. But minute I became a lab tech and all I had to do was close out the labs at midnight every night or every other night, I found myself like learning so much more. Because what are you going to do? There's almost so much TV or whatever you can watch. If you're watching that much TV or whatever or on your phone, then maybe you shouldn't be doing art anyway. But if you take advantage of that stuff, it's so much easier. It was so easier to just like work and go to school and study my craft, because I didn't have to worry about leaving and going to do a job. My job was at school. I get out of class, I chill in a lab till my shift started, and then boom, I come back from breaks early. I'm cleaning out the labs. I'm making contacts. People are meeting me more. It was great. So that's my big 3 things that I did in college that I tell everybody who goes to art school or whatever similar to do. Jack?
Yeah, I mean, I can piggyback off that a little bit. I would say definitely if the opportunity presents itself for you to get a job or a helping or even like a teacher's assistant on campus with the staff, take it. Mainly because, I mean, aside from the fact that it might help pay your tuition, that's a bonus. But really, more importantly, is it's the most direct and best networking tool you can possibly get. And that goes the same for once you graduate. If you can get a job in the facility that you want to work at, like even if it's not the career, like you want to be an animator or an editor, but you can't get that job. If you can get in as an intern guy or a food caterer, because we have people at DreamWorks who started as food caterers and now they're artists. Like if you can just get in, that's where you meet the people and you learn from them. Like Charlie was saying, if you're working in the lab late at night, not only do you have access to the lab and to do better work, but the teachers are going to be hanging around. You can pick their brains. They're going to tell you casual stuff just off the top of their head that you wouldn't have gotten in class. And then you're sort of creating somewhat of a friendship and a relationship with these people. And then they're going to want to help you. And they're going to, you're starting to know the people that are going to ultimately push you forward and get you connected in the industry. Same thing goes once you're in the internship. If you can get the internship, you're already making connections with the people who are going to be potentially hiring you. And anybody doing hiring wants to hire from a pool of people they already know or have already worked with, rather than these random cold resumes. So definitely what Charlie said, like 10 times over, that's like your best possible month. But in terms of things that you study, I mean, my case is a little different because I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I had no clue. Even when I was in the animation program, I didn't really have a clear understanding of what I could or would be doing with that degree. So really what I focused and I studied on things that I liked, like things that I wanted to potentially do or I thought could be a career. I studied those. I studied animated films. I studied film because animated films are films. And I just kind of like zeroed in on the stuff that I wanted to be better at. And I compared, it can be somewhat unhealthy, but I compared my work to professional work. And finding out, obviously my work at that point, especially at a student level, will never look as good as a professional work, not only because I'm a student, but because I'm one person, not a studio of 300 or more. But you learn what the bar is and you learn what you should be reaching for, and you learn to study every little bit of how they got there. Because if you're constantly comparing yourselves to your peers and your classmates, your bar is there. You're just in that pool of talent, whereas you want to be in the pool of where you're going to be working. So study the work of the studios that you want to work at. Study the work of professional artists out there doing freelance. Even reach out to them. You'd be surprised how many people are totally open to receiving an email, or even flattered. I mean, I work with guys, I've done it, that you get a random email from some person like, hey, tell me about this, how do you do this? And they will, like some artists, I mean, they love to talk about themselves, so they'll just spout out like, 12-page email about what they do and advice. So just, you gotta be a little outgoing. You gotta break out of your shell.
And be natural. I mean,
Yeah.
We talk about that on the show all the time. People don't mind helping, but if you approach it like, what do you have to give me to make me better?
Mm-hmm.
And that's all you're after. People don't respond to that very well. And one of the things that I do is because one of the common themes of what we all do is we kind of submerge ourselves in whatever it is that we're trying to get better at, right?
Yeah.
So I'll be sitting here drawing and I have YouTube playing. One of my favorite things to do is watch Rodgon. He's been on the show. I watch Rodgon's channel, and even if he's live on Twitch or whatever, I always watch him and I try to keep up with him and see what he's doing, right? And I try to copy. I love his style, so I try to copy his style, but just to have something to draw. I'm not trying to copy him and then just be like, oh, look, boom, my skills are crazy. Right. Yeah. Unless someone wants to buy it and then I'm stealing that shit for real. But no, like I do that. I try to submerge myself. I try to wrap myself in what other people are doing, because you accidentally learn by osmosis or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
If you wrap yourself up, you're going to accidentally pick things up. And then later when you're drawing something or you're, modeling something, whatever the case may be, you come back and you say, oh, I remember when Rodgon said this. The conversations that I have with DaCosta, a lot of times, I love DaCosta's style. And whenever he's streaming, and Jeff Coates too. Jeff Coates is always streaming on Twitch. Like all these guys, whenever they're streaming on Twitch, I try to watch to see how they do things, and you accidentally pick things up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great. You're learning from people that are doing it, that are really good at it. And they're doing things that you might not think of. And these are things that they take for granted.
That's true.
So with that said, let's play a voicemail.
Let's listen to one.
This is from Steve Carrillo.
Hey guys, my question is about discipline and routine. I was wondering if you have any thoughts on just trying to make the transition from a hobbyist to a more professional mindset. I have a day job, so I'm not necessarily motivated by money, but more so getting projects done. And secondly, I was wondering if you guys have read the book War of Art by Steven Pressfield. I'm not sure if you guys have talked about it before on the show. I haven't seen that yet. But, thank you.
Thanks, Steve. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's what's really cool. Again, that happens on the scheduling hotline. If you guys ever have any questions, it doesn't have to be during the show. It can be when we're off, and we'll answer the questions on the very next show. But yeah, thanks, Steve, for that. What do you guys think about discipline and routine?
It's a tough one. The book he's talking about, I've actually read. I have it not on this desk, but I do have it. And we talked about this a little bit on, and I can't remember the woman's name, but we had that woman who was saying that motivation is garbage, or is fake.
Right.
But I think that is kind of the elusive thing that everyone's looking for, is particularly artists. And in the book, the book gets a little. This is the War of Art. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's pretty good. I wouldn't rave about it, but I mean I own it, so clearly it's good. It's good enough to own. It gets a little metaphysical and like woo-woo magic, kind of like you gotta like pray to, they come up with this thing called the Muse, which is kind of equivalent to The Secret. Like, and this isn't a new thing that they've come up with. I mean, many artists and writers and creatives in histories past have commented about this supposed muse, that they get into a zone and then something channels the work to them. A lot of people have this experience where they don't actually feel like they are creating it, but it's kind of channeled through them. And I think it's a valid experience. I've definitely had it. I feel it more when I do writing than I do like animation or something, I guess, because animation and drawing is such a physical, you have a physical connection with the paper, you're holding a pencil and you feel very in control, whereas writing is very cerebral and kind of up here and foggy, and I think that lends itself. So the book basically wants you to find this muse, this thing that gives you your inspiration, and it gives you all these sort of tips on how to achieve that. And a big one is routine, that you need to set aside X amount of time per day, even if it's just 5 minutes in the morning, just to start a routine, because doing a routine tricks the brain and the body into kind of doing these things subconsciously and like muscle memory. And that's like one way of just getting better at something. I would say that's pretty valid. I mean, I'm to the point now where I'm just nonstop, because it's kind of, I do it at work, I do it at home. I'm always doing it, which is another problem. But I will say that creating that routine and finding time every day is the first and most important step.
Yeah, I think in terms of creating a routine, I think I suffer from this, and a lot of other people suffer from this, where you struggle creating the correct routine to get yourself going. But I do think one thing that stuck with me and it's kept me going is creating a task, a list. Mm-hmm. So I'm very task oriented. I yell this to my wife all the time. That's like, I like to go from A, B, C to D. So like this year, like I started doing what I do at work, because remember, I think I've said this on the show before too, where I feel like I'm a different person at work, because you have to do art, and you have to perform, and you have people underneath you. You want to look competent, but when I'm here, it's just me, and I can, my mind wanders with as many different things that I'm trying to learn. So getting something done, I found that I created a list for myself here at the office at home for 2017, and I'm just starting to check things off, and I think it's been a lot better for me. So I learned Nuke this year already, got that done, finished my class last week. I feel like I'm not a master in it, obviously, but I do know it now, so that I feel confident enough to, build a reel and put that in there and have that as something I can do. Or from a standpoint of being a 3D artist, I have full control over a shot that I create from finish to end now, Now I'm moving into next things, There's Cinema 4D on there. There's Houdini that's on there that I'm going to do. So and then what I do is I find research and learn that like helps me get to that goal. So now I'm in the researching stage for my next goal. I'll do it. I just do it and then keep moving on, and that whole list has to be checked off by the end of the year. So I think that's kind of helped. Whereas before I kind of just say, I'll do it, because I would never have bought a class or spent that much money on a class and worried about if the teacher was correct or whatever. Since I did do some teaching myself, I'm very critical of like learning in terms of somebody doing it right. But it's been doing great. I'm so glad. I had a great experience with that, and I feel really good that I knocked off one of my goals so far. So this routine is working this year, for me. Making a list.
Yeah. I actually went out. I don't know if I told you guys this. I went out and I got a dry erase board. I ordered it through Amazon. It was a lot bigger than I thought.
How big is this?
So measurements.
So I have.
You got it hung up, or is it still sitting on the floor because it's so big?
That's right.
That is a straight up professional conference room work board.
Yeah. What size is that? 8 feet? You're like, oh, that sounds good enough.
I clicked the button that said wall size.
Wall size. You might like wall
This
size.
is small, medium, and wall.
You're like, that's what I need. That's what I need.
I thought it was gonna be one of those long rectangles, just like hanging off the little bitty wall.
It's wall size. It's but yeah, what I found was again, my joke has always been I work on everything until nothing gets done.
Mm.
But now that I have this, even if I'm spinning my wheels on something, or if I feel myself deviating I'm working on something else, I look at the board and I see all these things. And the cool thing is it came with those little colored buttons. So if I'm working on something, I put the little green thing there. If it's done, I put the little red thing there. Or if I'm waiting for something, I put the little red thing there. So I have green, yellow, red, and blue, right? So I have whatever stage I'm on, I move the little button over and I tell myself this is where we are. If it's not on that list, it doesn't get worked on. Right?
Yeah.
So that's how I maintain focus. If you maintain focus, you will have discipline. What I do suggest is don't go and turn on the TV when you know you have something due. TV is just a horrible beast. And
about that YouTube TV.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good, man. You just saved me $35 a month. But no, get yourself something like that. And then as far as routines go, figure out what works. And this is something that you have to, for me, it's amazing how, as a matter of fact, just today, I figured out that, so I get up, first thing I do is brush my teeth, take the dogs out for a walk, feed them, take my daily vitamins, and make coffee. And I just continue to do this. And today I was like, oh no, I can't make coffee. I have to go get my vitamins. And I'm like, but wait a minute, why that? And then I started challenging myself, like, no, you can't make coffee yet. You have to go get your multivitamins. And so I actually started laughing at myself because my routine was so subconsciously strong that I didn't let myself go make coffee because I hadn't taken my vitamins yet.
Did you stop yourself?
Yeah.
Yo, stop talking to yourself.
Yeah. And then take that into your creative process. Some people can just jump right in and get after it and start creating stuff. Some people need to do warm-up sketches and get their hands nice and warm. And so you always hear of artists saying, I try to draw as many circles as I can and try to get it perfect. And that's enough exercise to get you going to be able to go and break things down. And then you start drawing and magnificent things, all of that stuff. Your routine to get into that creative process feeds into what Jack was saying, where you almost have to do something to the point where your subconscious takes over.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of people who I find that I draw better when I'm tired.
Really?
Yeah. I've done some of my best work when I'm like overly tired or drunk.
Is that like a drawing thing? I can see drunk, but is that like a drunk? Like,
yes. Yeah.
Is that like because you're like looser, like Jack?
Yeah, I think
just like
I think the filter shuts off a little bit, and it's true. I mean, I don't think it's something that like a freshman in college would do very well at, and I mean, I think that's clear from all of our experience from college that you do all these late nights, and I mean, I think by the end you're starting to get better work even in the late night hours, but I think it is something that after a while in your subconscious and the muscle memory has really settled, that you're kind of accessing that. And I think that goes back to what the so-called muse. I think you start to get this feeling like it's just flowing out of you.
Right. Yeah. And the more you do it, the more your routine, the more you do your routine, the faster your body shifts into there. Your body is going to say, oh, okay, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. You almost create yourself a trigger. And that's like you were saying, some people draw circles, some people, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. I like to think that when Jack gets into his muse or his mode, his eyes gloss over white, and he just draws
God mode. God mode.
That's just it. Like Jack will have a pencil, he'll drop it, and when it lands, like there's a masterpiece just laying there, and he literally
Okay,
just dropped a
all
pencil.
right.
Like,
All right.
come on.
or his desk starts to levitate, and he has his legs crossed, and he's drawing in the middle of the room. The next thing you know, a flash of light happens, and there's an animation just done on a PC somewhere. Sorry,
On a PC somewhere.
that's the God machine.
Do you guys want to do a text, or do you guys want to do another?
Let's do a text. We'll alternate.
Let's do a text. Okay, so this one came from Deborah Altsky.
Hey, Deborah.
She said, "Congrats." What?
I'm saying hi to Deborah.
Oh, hey, Deborah. Hey, girl. All right. So this is another. She's got a couple questions here. I'll read them all, and then we can address them. One of them is not even really a question, but you'll see. It says, "Congrats, Sketch Zone, big milestone. Instead of a long voicemail monologue, I'll ask a bunch here. Okay. How do you see the podcast moving forward, or basically, how will you improve it?" And she's actually getting technical. As far as hashtags, SEO, titles, length, others. And then she goes on to say, will you invite more web cartoonists on? So Deborah, real quick, cool. I'll answer the second part. Yes, I'm going to find all these selfish suggestions that you have. So yeah. Matthew Inman, Sarah Anderson, Chris Grady, I'm assuming Reza Farazmund. I'm going to. Now that I see that you're interested in having those guys on the show, I'll reach out to those. So yes. Back up to, how do you see the podcast moving forward? How will you improve it? Y'all want to chime in on this?
Yeah, I think little do y'all know, just before the show, we were testing out new tech.
Yeah, Carlos was pulling his hair out. I was reading a bunch of stuff. And we're going to have ways of getting to more people, in the coming year. So that's going to be good. Ways of integrating and reaching out to you guys over all these new social media type outlets and streaming outlets and stuff like that. So be on the lookout for that. We have some really cool technology that takes a little bit of reading up on, but we'll get it like we get everything else. And it'll be cool. And then Jack and Carlos have some really cool new visual things. That's all I'll say for the show. That'll make them look cool, and the presentation will be a little bit different than what you guys are used to. So that'll be cool, and that'll be coming in the coming weeks and months. And am I missing anything, guys?
Well, that's pretty good.
And more guests, and obviously more guests, and more different types of shows and guests, and more like fun ways of having these guests come on and create interactions with us and other people, and the way we talk about things. We'll still have all of our wacky topics and our thought-provoking, introspective topics, as well as like how did people get into the industry, and then I think there'll be a lot more technical things coming in this year too. Jack has a whole dissertation he's going to give on his life and how animation affects the everyday child, and it'll be good. So there's a bunch of things, right? Cool.
I think you covered it.
Yeah.
Jack, did you want to get on to a dissertation?
I have no idea what he's talking about. I'm going to do that after my sabbatical.
We can totally talk about hashtags, SEOs, and stuff like that. So I was going to say something else. I forgot. Crap. Did I write it down? No. See how my brain works?
You got to write it.
Squirrel. It's literally that. Squirrel. yeah, some of the things that we've done, obviously we've had Twitter for a long time. We now have Instagram. Once Charlie talked about this, we want to stream on different platforms. And we're going to be doing what we call mashups. We're going to be taking some, different artists. So let's say, I've checked out Deborah. She's an artist type. So if we have Deborah on, and then if we can, work a show into where Deborah is meeting one of these people that she wants to meet. That's what we're here for. We're here to build this network of friends and creative people. We're here to let creative people know that you're not alone. We're all here. Right. We're all here to help you answer questions. We're all here to do all this stuff. So there's other ideas that me and the guys are always kicking around. So
and then the on location stuff too. There was all
on location stuff.
So Jack and Carlos are privileged enough to be out in sunny California. There's always really good conventions.
It's not that sunny right now. It's raining.
Oh, really? Rainy California.
It's nighttime.
But there's a bunch of things going on. It's nighttime. Shut up, both of you. There's a bunch of things going on. So I'm gonna give Jack a mic, and he's gonna go and ask people questions at these conventions. The ones he chooses to go to with Carlos if he wants to be seen with Carlos in public. But yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. And then the length. I'm assuming that you say the length of the show. This is so totally free form. Sometimes if you look through the archive, sometimes we have an hour and a half show. Sometimes you have 3 hour show. It all depends on how much content is happening. There's a reason to have half-hour shows. I get that. But this has always been a let's talk.
Mm-hmm.
And let's have a conversation type of show. I'm a fan of conversation. So I don't not that there's plenty of podcasts that I listen to that are like half hour right on the dot, 45 minutes right on the dot. That's awesome. I enjoy those. But I like to talk way too much. I can talk. I can talk for half an hour by myself.
There it is.
A soapbox for Carlos by Carlos.
Here first.
Yeah. So that's how we're gonna make it better. We're gonna have Carlos talking to himself for 40 minutes.
Speaking of Carlos,
Carlos finding his muse in 2 hours.
All right, and speaking of Carlos, let's do one that is a question specifically for Carlos.
Ooh.
This is from Dave Punk. You got to listen to the whole thing. There's some pauses, but he gets to the point.
Okay.
Here we go.
Hey, Carlos, Dave Punk here with my question. And my question is, during the show, Carlos, is there anything you wanted to tell Charlie, but didn't actually do it? Period.
What's with the dramatic? Period.
I think he meant question mark, actually.
Yeah. First off, this is one of the things, and it's perfect. Deborah, we're working with Dave. I don't know if we can't really announce anything yet, but we're working with Dave. He's got some really cool stuff that's happening, and we'll be able to, whenever Dave gives us the green light, we're going to start announcing things. So, but yeah, this is kind of us broadening our reach, where we want to work with the community to grow. Anyway, so with that being said, has there ever been anything?
Yeah,
there's been okay, so like California, it's like 20 minutes. It's not like it's almost 20 minutes to 11. And there's been times where Charlie is dead asleep and he doesn't even know it.
I've never fallen asleep on this podcast.
Jack,
When?
my point remains. I'm telling you, it's happened.
Jack
It's
thought I was.
happened.
Jack thought I was today for some reason.
No. I knew you were.
No.
No.
And I mean,
Leave it to Dave
so
Punk.
for everyone, so
To
for
give
Trying to spit up
everyone,
the show.
To give a
It's a
for
rock
everyone that
show.
doesn't know, for everyone
give
that
a
doesn't know,
punkish
Charlie
reply.
works full time. He commutes a far way, and he's got 2 kids. He's married. Like he's a
here we go.
full on great husband, great father, great artist. La 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 la. So I understand if you need to take a nap during the show.
No, I've never taken a nap. So it'd be like,
You're gonna make me pull some stuff up.
yeah, pull it up.
And there have been not right now.
Well,
We
there are
have
times you
100 shows.
You may have thought I was because I'm looking down at my phone.
You thought he was dead. He ain't dead.
He ain't dead.
But I wasn't.
So yeah, Dave, the one thing I have wanted to tell Charlie but haven't is, hey Charlie, wake up.
Well, you would have though. That's just the point. It doesn't make sense.
No, there's
That's
been times where anyway. So yeah, thanks, Dave Punk, for starting a fight. How about another one? I don't have any more text
Alright.
messages, so let's play the Costa one is a good one.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up. All right, this is from our good friend DeCosta Bailey.
Sunnyandbird.com.
First off, congratulations on 100 episodes. It's a milestone, most definitely to be celebrated. I congratulate you on doing your thing and doing it well. So basically, one of the things that on my mind in terms of my question, what I want you guys to discuss, is kind of my kind of focus as of late has been on kind of original content and kind of what's out there in the marketplace. So I always want to have kind of these discussion points about, when are we gonna get tired of seeing the typicals and the remakes and the sequels of everything, with the new. When are we going to get some fresh content out there? And kind of where do you see the breaking point? Because I'm tired of seeing Iron. I love Iron Man, but I'm tired of seeing Iron Man, Captain, Avengers.
He went there, didn't he?
Something or other.
Oh, I gotta
It's
love
all
the
the same
stuff.
big mishmash. So I want to, and this is no way motivated by the fact that I'm going to drop a new short film.
There it is.
Ah, there it is.
There it is. There it is, buddy.
I wanted to get your feedback on
I love that.
where the industry kind of is going to hit its tipping point. If you see that coming soon, with things like, Trolls being kind of a fresh take on things, Storks, and Nitrogen doing Scary Girl, and Bone, coming with Mark Osborne, those kind of new animated kind of pieces. Where's the new kind of table, the new content table going to tip? That's what I want to hear. All right.
I think he says later, but
It's all you, Jack.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there, but yeah, I think we're really close to the tipping point, actually. And I mean, obviously, the industry is always changing, and it's always heading towards tipping points and falling down from them. And I mean, it goes in and out of this in kind of a pendulum swing. I think right now we're in the equivalent of the .com boom. We have a content boom, and there's so many new venues and distributing methods and websites and devices to put your content out on, not just as giant networks and distributors, but as independent makers like DaCosta, like me, like Carlos, like whoever. Anybody who wants to make something, it's there. And what we're seeing right now is the new models like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon and all these guys have broken the old model, which is exactly what the .com. I like to look at history and see how other stuff has played out, because it repeats itself all too often.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of these companies have broke the old model in the same way that websites have broke the old model of being a business and advertising. So right now we're in the content hungry phase. Everybody wants content, and all of the viewers and users and consumers are so excited about this, and we just can't stop watching. But we're already seeing content fatigue. We're already seeing, I can't keep up with that show because I'm too busy watching this other show. Did you see all of Walking Dead? I don't have time for 15 seasons of another show because I'm too busy watching 18 seasons of my show. And it's so overwhelming, and there's so much content. And part of that, it goes to what he said about superheroes and reboots and rehashes, they're doing that as a need to fill the content demand. Part of it is a risk thing. These are pretty surefire ways of making money. And, as much as people want to complain about these movies, even the bad ones, Beauty and the Beast basically got ripped to shreds by most people. And yet it broke records on the first night. So they're going to make more. So, the box office doesn't lie. So if you don't want them to make movies like this, stop going to see them. But aside from that, another reason, aside from the risk mitigation factor that studios, that's why they make those movies, it's because they're filling this void of content. So we're creeping up on this tipping point where people are going to get really tired of seeing the same thing. People, there's so many different distributing platforms. They're all going to start to meld together. We're going to see them solidify. Netflix is going to buy somebody, and Hulu's going to buy somebody, and Amazon's already buying everybody. You're going to end up with like 3 or 4 of these streaming services, and we're going to kind of get back to the way the model was. And we're going to basically stop caring about all the noise. That's exactly what happened with the .com. All of the terrible websites fell off the face of the planet, and the only way you stood out is if you made really good websites. So the stuff that's going to hang on is the good stuff, and we're going to start to lose the bad stuff.
Yeah, I think what. Go ahead.
Hang on, before we change the subject too much. I agree with most of what you said, but to go back to like the old way of doing things, maybe I'm not understanding the way that you're trying to say it, but like, so we're not ever going to go back to
no, I don't mean
only for networks.
I didn't mean that specifically, but the companies will solidify. You will see some services buy other services, and right now a big part of the content fatigue is there are just too many options. Like I can't have a Netflix and a Hulu and an Amazon and an HBO and a YouTube. Like there's just too many. So that's going to kind of solidify into the most popular ones and the most successful ones. Yeah, we'll never go back to NBC, ABC, that type of thing.
Right, but it's going to crest. It's going to crest, and then somebody's going to get bought out. They're going to realize that their numbers are the same as it was last year.
Yeah.
Or it's going to get to the point where people who are making crappy content are going to be tired of making crappy content because even crappy content costs money.
It does. Right. Yeah.
And I think that's how. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I think that's how it is now. Like, the big movie companies are banking on a narrative that's making money. So the comic book narrative is making money. Now, whether you're not a comic book fan, there's a billion other people who are and who will go see the next Avengers, or who do know that this is a whole huge movie in the aspect, no matter if you like it or not. But this is like the biggest narrative that they've ever done, and no one's ever done 16 movie, whatever, however many movies there's going to be, all solidifying into one big story. So I think for some of the
how they trick you though, because they're telling you,
but that's what it's doing. It's no hero.
They're telling you a superhero movie, but then they mix in there, look at Iron Man is such a wonderful gentleman. He let his girlfriend get in his Iron Man suit, even though she's wearing high heels and she's never going to fit in that damn thing. But they trick you into this love story that's happening, and that's how you get people hooked into the people that don't.
And that's how it is in the comic book.
Yeah.
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 Like this is like I'm a nerd. I know this is no matter what you don't like about the movie industry, this thing that Marvel's doing in terms of like these stories and stuff like that, even though they're separate universes, they're banking a lot of money off this. And to me, in my opinion, this is solely my opinion, I think it's brilliant what they're doing. Because like I said, no one's done
they're making money
this scale of a
hand over
narrative.
fist.
They're like, this has been like years out. You know, you got Black Panther coming out and all these, and say what you will about, this is going to appeal to African Americans, which obviously it does. The next one, the one they all congeal, they all do. And it's the same thing. We can have the story about all the stuff they're doing on Netflix with Iron Fist and all this stuff like that, and all the stuff we talked about whitewashing with Ghost in the Shell, all these things. There's all these things that like people don't like about it, but at the same time, these are the stories and narratives that have been written about for the last 50 years. You know, right. Iron Fist came about because of the boom of martial arts in the 70s. You know, Nick Cage came about because of the Black Power movement in the 60s. You know, like Ghost in the Shell, the whitewashing came about because that's how anime's been drawn for the last 100 years with the influence on Disney, and like how like some of those characters kind of looked white, but they didn't really, or you know, the Ghost in the Shell, the chick herself, you know, is so pale because she's an android. But like, once again, movie houses are going to pick and choose. It's always going to do it's the same thing with the video game stuff. The video game movies, which always suck, but make some sort of money, but they still haven't figured out how to make that work, right? Outside of them still finding ways to make Resident Evil, which is weird. So I think they're gonna go along with things that work, you know. And when we get back to the Marvel, I love the original content and all that good stuff, but let's not forget that like Trolls that DaCosta mentioned also, it's not necessarily a new idea, you know, and it's not necessarily an original idea, you know. Those Trolls are based off those toys that you had in the late 90s that like this is little sister used to play with. Maybe somebody thought of, let's make a movie off of it. To me, that's like a remake. I'm pretty sure there's a Trolls cartoon back in the day too. I can look up. But it's cool. I get the whole original content thing, and I'm all for it. Just I think if you make good original content, it'll come out. You'll get it yourself on Netflix. You'll find yourself out, and not just if you think it's good. If it's legitimately good, you know, DaCosta stuff looks amazing, so I'm sure it'll rise to the top, like everything else. That's good, but make good content. You know, I don't know, how we will ever get the movie industry to bank on a totally original thing. And more so, but maybe it'll do after the effort crests. But like to go off of a story that has not been vetted, I mean, Jack, maybe it's more in the TV, right? I think they do that all the time in TV with TV cartoons and stuff like that, and new stuff, and they try new things. But I'm just wondering how that would work. You know,
I think that's the power that we have as non-big movie studios, I guess. And I guess we have the power because we don't have that much. We have the same tools.
Yeah.
We have the same capabilities. We just don't have the same overhead.
Mm-hmm. But I guess you got those one things like Chicago Comic-Con's coming up, right? And one of the big proponents that are there that pushes this whole thing, giving the people the power, is if you look up the production company that was started by Kevin Smith, George Lucas, Legion M, where you a fan can invest in the company and be part of the backing of the company, and they're producing original content. Have you guys heard of this?
Yeah.
So I guess that's one way. I mean, if you're tired of seeing, you know, same old, I mean, to me, if you're that passionate about it, I would look into things like this, because it seems like this is what they're doing, you know. And I don't know how much money you have to invest in. It sounds like a new way of crowdfunding to me, but you know, I do like the idea. Well, maybe there's, you know, and so I don't know how that is, but I would say at least look into that, because I don't know if anybody else is doing anything any different outside of Kickstarter, you know, and like GoFundMe and stuff like that. But this seems like they have, I think they had they just started announcing some of the shows they're about to put out. I think one had famous actress in it, and it was interesting. based on the stories that they had in the gates. The first one was, what was it called? Oh, first one was called Colosso. So it was with who is this? What's the girl's name? Here, I'll send you. Anne Hathaway. So it looks like she ends up becoming at night some type of way. She ends up becoming a huge like Godzilla monster, and she doesn't know it. It's weird, and it's the other guy. I forget the other guy, but look it up. You guys can tell me the names because I'm really bad at actors' names. But it's under the projects page. Scroll down, you'll see the picture of it, and it just came out with this trailer. And I didn't know. I saw this trailer on YouTube randomly, and then realized it was one of Legion M's projects. So this is totally backed by however many fans and like people they have backing these, and they're starting to put out content. And this comes out this year. Our release date is supposed to be April 7th. So so Friday, this Friday, this movie comes out. And they have a couple other different ones too, but they have it's interesting.
I did want to talk about this article that I read. It sucks that it was, I think I read it like maybe a month and a half ago now, but it was one of the C-level managers of Atomic Cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
It's like CTO or something like that. And she was being interviewed by some online animation magazine. And she was talking about how she wants her studio to start practicing flexibility because we don't know where the eyes are going. We don't know if it's going to go to the TV. We don't know if it's going to go to YouTube. We don't know if it's going to be on the phone. We don't know where it's going to be. So she was talking about how you might have an episode. Let's just say there's a cartoon about three friends and they do this show, but then they're superheroes, right? There's a Charlie Man, Jack Man, and Carlos Man. Right. And then so you create the content of the show, and one episode might be half-hour long. The next episode might be 5 minutes long. And that's how everyone is, since everything is on demand, we no longer have to wait for the ad agencies to, we need a 22-minute show and then we're going to have 8 minutes of ads, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then everyone has a slot, because that doesn't work anymore. People are starting to consume content on the bus, in line, in bed, also on TV, the traditional way. So she's starting to think outside the box. And, you might have a story that only takes 5 minutes to tell, whereas the next one might be half hour and the next one might be however long it is. So now we're starting to see that not only how it's being delivered, but there's flexibility to the stories that are being told.
Yeah.
I mean, even Jack even shared a link to a movie that was done. It was an animation that was done in a game engine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, all the rules are starting to disappear.
Yeah, we talked about the mill doing the car commercial, with was it Chevy or and having the virtual car, earlier this year too. So this is with the Unreal Engine. Yeah, it's really, lines are being blurred, so it's good. So I think, to kind of go back to DaCosta's question he asked, I think it's happening. I think as long as everyone's a little patient, it's gonna crest, because as long as you're just creating good content, all this stuff seems to find its way to people's eyes, and just get involved. I think it's the biggest thing for everybody else, get involved and have a say. Jack says, speak with your pocketbook, if you don't like those things. And it's the biggest way to get these big companies ear, if you will. But I think they'll see it too, because like I said, like Jack was saying, I think it'll crest, and then like people want something fresh. They'll be starving for something different and not the same. Next.
Yeah. All right. This is from our good friend down under.
I like turtles.
Good old Dave Atsy. Here we go.
Hey guys, it's Dave. I like Turtles Atsy here. Wishing you a happy 100th episode. Carlos forced me to call in and ask a question, so I guess I wanted to know if Sketchzone was a WWE fight, what would your character names be and who would win? Have a great show, guys.
Oh,
Bye.
man. That's tough.
Wow. Well, there'll be a lot of double crossing, so it'd definitely be entertaining, right? You wouldn't know, people the upper hand would change throughout the.
Yo, I'm Big Knuckles Jackie Cass. I'm here to fight Charlie. Get in the ring now. That's my WWE name. Big Knuckles Jackie Cass.
What is it again?
Big Knuckles Jackie Cass.
Yes. Big Knuckles. How'd you get your knuckles so big?
Cracking them.
Sure. Yes.
That's my when the music's playing and the spotlight's on me, I come down.
My mom used to do this when I was
Dragon Knuckles.
My mom used to do this when I was 7 months old.
My grandma told me not to do it, but
they just start swollen in place. And you would say it was
The angrier he gets, the bigger his knuckles get, and you can see the veins just pulsating.
He would just say it with bad English too. It's just swollen that way. I don't know. Don't talk about my knuckles. What's your name, Carlos?
It has to be something racially insensitive. So it would have to be something like.
Before you go, though, I think your handle would work pretty well.
Coconut Justice.
That's a
Coconut Justice.
Coconut Justice.
That would be my finishing move.
Okay.
That'd be my finishing move.
Wait,
no! Like it would have to be like I don't
I don't
know.
like where this is going.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
Let's just
racially
stop.
insensitive, but I'm gonna love myself. El Guapo! Oh no, he's got Charlie in the Coconut Justice, and then Charlie gets some Coconut Justice. Yeah. I don't know. I'm old. I don't know if I would win.
I thought
How did I get crickets out of all the corny shit I've said in the
Yeah, you've said some corny stuff.
No, no.
I have 99 shows worth of corny stuff.
Including this one.
No, 100. A nice, even 100 shows of corny stuff.
All right, Charles.
I don't know what my name would be. I think my name would be
Junkyard Charlie.
Junkyard Charlie. What is that? They play the Sanford and Son song when he walks
yeah,
in.
weird. Yeah.
Papa Charlie. Junkyard Charlie. Junkyard Charlie. Da, da, da. Junkyard Charlie.
No, I-
All right. Do you want us to come back to you? Are we gonna?
I don't know. We could just call myself like I don't know, Chocolate Thunder or something. Let's just do that.
Chocolate
It
Thunder?
has to be cheesy. It has to be like
There you go. Chocolate Thunder. I like
finishing
it.
move would be the chocolate drop.
The
Chocolate drop.
chocolate drop.
Oh God.
I got.
Or chocolate rain. Yeah, that's a
Chocolate rain.
Chocolate Ray. You know he's following me on Twitter.
Of course he is.
What is he doing right now?
How do you get that kid to follow you?
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-da.
All right.
Next.
All right, moving on.
I don't know who this is from. They don't really identify themselves, but we'll play it anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. I got the same question for all of you, all three of you. In what ways has Mike Henry inspired you to be a better person?
In what way has Mike Henry inspired you to be a better person? I don't know who this is, but someone who's a Mike Henry follower, I believe.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember Strong Bad?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally it. Yes.
Sounds like.
It sounds like Strong Bad.
Strong bad.
Mike Henry has his biggest fan is Strong Bad. So, probably angry at us for talking about the doctor.
No, but for real, there's a real Mike Henry one. It's a little bit lengthy, but we'll give him the time.
Okay.
Hey guys, it's Mike Henry here. I just wanted to call and congratulate you guys on 100 episodes. It's pretty awesome. I remember when I hit my first 100 episodes a long time ago,
Look at him trying to steal thunder.
But hey, good for you guys, right? So anyway, first, I've got a question for each one of you. So Carlos, you've been a lot of things to a lot of people. You are content and alliances lead, a host, a producer, which I'm guessing was just a typo, and you meant to say producer. I don't know, maybe you could say a designer, technology,
Slamming.
UX, UI consultant. The list goes on and on and on. But what are the 3 qualities that you personally exhibit that qualifies you for all of these roles?
All right, we'll stop him there before we get to the other ones. Carlos.
It's funny how my career is basically my brain. 3 things that makes me number 1, I never stop learning. I'm always there's always room to be better at something, so I'm always constantly learning. I work super hard. I have so many stories. Some of my toughest work times was when I was working in Hollywood, and I'd be stumbling home at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and then I'd have to get up and be in the office at 9 o'clock in the morning. So whether or not that's good, it was bad for me, but good for the projects that I was working on. I did get burnt out, which is like a common thread in my life. But yeah, work hard. And one of the other things that you need to be, never stop learning, work hard.
One more.
Be open to new avenues. I've never, let me say it like this, and this is probably going to sound like I'm loving myself a little too much, but have faith in your skills and in yourself, and know that if you stay true to who you are, you're going to be okay. And by that, I mean, like when Jack and I talked about moving to California, I kind of knew I was going to be okay. When I moved back home, I kind of knew I was going to be okay. One of the things that I do not do is put up with being mistreated at work. And for some reason, I keep finding those jobs. So I'm in a very professional way. I look to find a solution to the problem. So, I've been in situations where people don't pay. I've been in situations where they don't pay for like 3 months. I've been in situations where the manager mistreats his workers, and like literally these people are walking out of his office crying, and then they come to me crying, and they're like, oh, how can he treat someone that badly? I don't do good with that type of stuff. So I don't hesitate. If it's a toxic situation, I don't hesitate to leave, because I know that I'm going to be okay. I know that I never stop learning. I know that that I work hard, and I know that I have enough belief in myself that I'm going to be okay.
That's good. I like it. All right, let's get the rest of this.
Okay.
Now, the next question I have is for Jack. You worked at Digital Domain for almost an unheard of amount of time for an industry like art and design and special effects and video games. I mean, these are all usually pretty short stints. You were even described as, quote, an A+ asset to any production. What do you think the keys are to relevance in longevity in the industry, and more importantly, to maintaining a positive reputation within one company when you're there for a long-term basis?
I don't know where he gets his
Someone did his homework.
He did homework on LinkedIn.
Straight up stalked me.
That's a LinkedIn.
It's funny. We actually talked a little bit about this in a previous episode, maybe 2 ago, about diversifying your skill set, but not just in your artistic skills, but in your skills at the company. And that's kind of what I did there, and it wasn't terribly intentional. It just kind of happened. Some of it was intentional, but some of it was me trying to stay employed. But I think you enter doing something well or doing something different than other people. That's kind of what gets you in the door. And then unless you do that so incredibly well, it's probably not going to keep you somewhere, because their needs are going to change, or there's going to come someone younger, equally as good or better, that's far cheaper, that's going to replace you. So the way you kind of circumvent that is you diversify your skills. And so you can do that in a couple of ways. You can learn, like Carlos said, keep learning. You learn different skills, different parts of the production, different parts of the pipeline. You can do different ways of doing a skill you already know that make you more efficient than the guy next to you, that just make you attack a problem a little bit of a different way, that people will come to you because you have a different perspective on things. But then outside of artistic skills, a big part of it, like I said, is diversifying your connections and your skills within the studio. I mean, once you work in many different departments and work in many different capacities, and you've expanded your skill sets, you start to know a lot of different people at the studio. You kind of entrench yourself in the unwritten knowledge database of the studio. And that alone is an incredibly valid asset, because people come to you for simple questions like, oh, how did we do it back on Speed Racer? You know, were we rendering that in V-Ray? Well, what did we use? No, we used Mental Ray. And, you know, like, I wasn't even a lighter, but I know some basic information that other people don't know. And as you do that, you kind of just become this repertoire of this representative of the studio. And by the time, you know, things get tough and you're ready to leave, or they're looking to pare down their crew, they look at that. I mean, they don't go through their list of animators or the list of modelers and say, oh, here's Jack. They say, well, Jack kind of fits in a lot of different categories. And even if he really is only a previs and like animation guy, he knows so much about the other departments and the way they work with animation that alone makes them an incredibly valid asset. So, I mean, it kind of just echoes a lot of what Carlos was saying in his 3 points.
Awesome.
All right, I assume the next one's for Charlie.
And lastly, Charlie, you've had a long career of tackling a diverse set of projects at very different companies. Your current role is a great example of how outside of the box a 3D artist job can be without just working at yet another video game company. How do you handle context shifting from job to job? And what qualities do you think 3D artists working today need to have to be competitive and stay creatively fulfilled?
Before you go, Charlie, how funny would that have been if he would have been like, and finally for Dave Atsy.
Or strong bad.
Or you just hang up. Okay, so a lot there. Thank you, Mike, for the Barbara Walter style questions. They're great. I like them. But here's what I found. I fell into the game industry, and once I got in there, I realized how technical it was. But I realized at the same thing how talented a lot of individuals are. And the one thing I think that people that work in the game industry don't realize is sometimes how talented they are. I got to work at EA Chicago, where the culture was to not necessarily hire within the game industry and to look to film in other places because they wanted fresh ideas, right? And Kudo Tetsunoda wanted people there that thought out the box. We still hired game industry people, but we had a mix. So one guy could have worked on the Matrix and did animation. Another guy could have came from the ad agency world and just was really good with putting together scenes and style frames and stuff like that. And they would throw him at the head of the UI department so that the UI looked different and that had a visual narrative that was different. So I kind of took that, because that's the first studio I started at. So I kind of took that notion of like taking a different take on your work and moved it into when I moved to a different studio, and I tried to innovate that way. So now that fast forward at Next Now, it's such a weird space. I didn't know much about this industry that I'm in now because it's a little bit different than just motion graphics. It's an experiential agency. They create experience for physical places. So they create experiences for brands and companies. So say Nike will come and they have this experience they want to have. They want their customers to have this experience at this new flagship store that may be VR. That may not necessarily ultimately help sell their product, but they want their customers to have a certain feeling. Or Intel wants people that go to Coachella to have a different feeling, or Adidas wants people that go to a Kanye West concert to have a different feeling before they even get there. And it's a way to, so like building out experiences that are small and to the point is very, very interesting, very, very hard to kind of create. You can't come at it as just like a game artist. You have to be kind of literally a generalist, a 3D generalist that happens to know game art and happens to know a little bit of animation, happens to know a little bit of effects. And that's what you have to do. And that's what I teach my department now. You're not a game artist. You're not just a tech artist. You're something much more, right? So we have to build our skill set. So we have to broaden our horizons. We have to like not be afraid to say, oh, well, I didn't really go to school for that, so I can't really do it. I hate that. Can't stand that. I've heard students say it, I've heard people at my past other companies say it, and and that's the one thing I want to get people to understand is that like give yourself more credit to learn something new. Jack is a good example of him learning a bunch of different things. He's climbed a mountain that I have yet been able to climb yet, and that's he learned a coding language. I haven't done that yet. I fear as I get closer to wanting to do Houdini or something, I'm gonna have to get to that point. But get out of your own way, right?
Yeah,
that's the main thing, because I know a bunch of people that still are in the industry or still working that crunch that could be amazing as 3D generalists, or could work on film like they always wanted to, or could work on big budget broadcast commercials and motion graphics and experiential stuff and VR and all that stuff. But like sometimes when you're at a game studio, you get stuck, and I never wanted to be stuck. I was in the game industry for years, still wanting to do film. I still going to work on a film one day. That's still an end goal. So, and are still
would you be willing to work on a film like say DaCosta says, I want to get on, or even Jack, anyone says, I want to work on an independent film. Would that satisfy your need, or do you have to work on something like
I have to work on no, I've done indie games. I've done a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I would always be up for collaborating. I love communicating, collaborating. So that's that. But like, to just put a limit on that, then no, why not do both? You know, why not? It's, you know, I always shoot for the big thing, you know, and do both. So that's cool. Yeah. Because I think we're in an age where it'll be easier to do that with all these different outlets and stuff like that. Because instead of just chilling, working at home, you can now work at home and then, oh, look at this. Yeah, we put this thing out and it looks like it's going to be at Sundance this year. You know, like, so I like that narrative, but also having a day job thing too. So yeah, I think I'm a weird bunch when it comes to art. I like creating in general. I like creating things on my own, and I like also creating stuff for companies and brands and all that other stuff. I like it all, because I feel like for me it how can I put it? It's probably a little bit of ego, a little bit of pride at the same time, knowing that I've conquered that, knowing that I've done that and I can do that, and I'm not just out of the box. I think it's sometimes, in some instances, for some artists, it's easy to do their own stuff, and it's hard to communicate and pull out something that someone else's needs, you know? Because like, I've done stuff for like, because I think that's part of my teaching side of things, right? So that's the other thing, being able to be a teacher to people and like be able to teach them things. And I think sometimes you can teach that through brands and stuff. You can have a big reach through that, because I think it's harder to like understand what somebody wants the vision to be than just to do your own, you know, to do your own at times, because your own is you have no boss. But, you know, so I like the puzzle of like delivering and then coming home and doing my own thing too, you know? So the main thing with that, with my thing, is to be open and get out of your own way. And that's what I've had to learn to do. Cause I hit my head against the wall for many years thinking I need to be at the next studio, I need to be at the next game studio or whatever. And the game industry is very volatile. But then it took like, you know, while I was teaching, to open my eyes to say, oh, cool, I can still do all this other things that I want to do. I don't have to go through this hierarchy of plateauing in the game and then moving over. Why not move over now? And my buddy Patrick helped me out that while I was teaching, you know, doing that. And once I did that, like things happened without me. And I think that's how I got to the position I was at next now. I was so amped to being the best 3 artist I could be, because I was like, maybe I got ring rust. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I'm as fast as I used to be. Whatever. I talk about this to the students for 5 years. Can I actually deliver on everything I've been like yelling at them? When I got there, I kind of went crazy. And then I looked up and they were like, "Oh, you wanna run this for us? Because you seem like you really have it all together." And I was like, "Oh, good, they didn't find out. Sweet." I figured it out. And that was me like learning those 5 years while I taught, you know, still going out to different user groups and meetings, and then learning what's hot in the game industry, so that when I got back to a point where I'm at a studio, I knew all the stuff, and I was able to say, yo, you guys are not using any of this. Look at this. Look at this. You still don't believe me? Okay, I'm going to do it in this, and then I'm going to show you. So that's what I did. I would use Substance Painter, and then they'd be like, wait a minute, this looks really amazing. How did you do this? Oh, it's this little program to this. So now I'm teaching project managers and CEOs like, hey, this is what we need to do to make our stuff look like this. And now even if we don't have 300 people.
Right.
You know? So I pride myself in saying, yes, I can beat any person one-on-one in a 3D thing, you know, because I know you stick to what you know, and you don't branch out the box. But I'm gonna branch out, and everybody underneath me is gonna branch out, so that our stuff looks like we have 400 people working for us. You know, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the competitive side of me why that is, you know, Carlos. But yeah, so get out of your own way and be open to learn, and be open to learn different things, you know? Not just modeling, not just texturing, not just lighting. Learn compositing, learn a little animation, even though it hurts. Learn it, you know, learn a little programming. Right. I'm speaking to myself now, you know, do all these things, you know, because it'll help. And I use Jack as a barometer now, because I didn't know he moved around that much until a couple of shows around. I kind of knew he was doing a bunch of different stuff, but I had the naive thing, think he was just animating the whole time. And when that happened to us, I think it was 2 shows or maybe even last show. When he said it, I was like, he's kind of a badass, and I like him even more now. Because like I didn't know that you moved around that much. You know, I just thought you plateaued during Pirates of the Caribbean and you got your animator gig and you didn't have to do hair and stuff anymore. You were doing that, and then I realized you did previs and whatever. And like Jack has like moments of like where he shows you, he pulls back the veil, he says a couple things. I'm like, damn, how does he know all that much? That's cool. You know, so I gotta catch up. I think I did it with my new course. You're like, oh yeah, then you get it. You went for 5 minutes on the shuffle note, and I was like, fuck, I better like write this down. You know, so get out of your own way because it'll help. You know, it'll help you guys so much, and have confidence in yourself. You know.
Go ahead before we let you continue. Go ahead and play Scott's because you're.
Yeah.
Hey guys, congratulations on the 100 episodes. My question for you today is, what would you give advice to somebody who is just starting out in the industry, or not necessarily in the industry, but in an artistic field? Just wanted to hear you guys' thoughts. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah. So there. Yeah, thanks, Scott. Just to bring it all around, Scott's been on the show before. And he also was an RA at Illinois Institute of Art.
It's a weird cult. He sacrifices every year.
It goes to show you. Just let me make this point real quick. It goes to show you that, I mean, for as much as you can learn on your own, and how expensive school is and all the bad stuff that people like to throw at the fact that people go to school. Mm-hmm. All of our friendships, our link all together goes to show the good thing that happens when you go to school.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In fact, I would say warranty to still go to school. I still am not a part of that new wave of like, don't spend money on college. You need to spend money on something. But if you're a go-getter and you're a self-starter, but let's not assume it because everybody who's listening, yeah, I am. Are you that when you're like 19? I'm going to say that 90% of the people aren't. And I'm speaking from a teacher experience, you know, and I didn't teach at a school where it was the cream of the crop and it was vetted. And then before they got to me, and all I have to worry about is me bringing out their ability that was already there. I went to people that didn't know and just came in, you know. Yeah. I taught students that didn't know a lick of any type of 3D. They didn't really know what they wanted to do. They thought it was cool and they played video games a lot, or they were just decent kids. You know, they didn't have a portfolio. They had decent grades in high school. They didn't get picked to go to like Savannah College Art Design or go to SCAD or go to Art Center or all these other ones that where they like literally, it's like you being a doctor, but you're an artist and you have to perform. They came in here because that's what they could afford. And I have, you know, 6 or 7 of those students that came in that gotten jobs in the industry, that worked from EA to other places like that, just off of their hard work after they figured out what they want to do. So the notion of if they didn't go to school, they couldn't because they didn't know what to look for when they were younger. They're similar to Jack. They didn't know what they wanted to do. So to know that everybody's going to be this like self-aware person that they are now in their like late 30s, early 40s, or late 20s, it doesn't happen for like most high school students. So get some type of schooling in you or some type of discipline if you don't have. Because if you know you don't know, there's no one, then doesn't mean you're going to be at home on YouTube and figure it out and find that one thing and then like totally study every day. Sometimes school gives you structure, you know, and gives you context and gives you that one mentor or that one teacher or that one friend that inspires you to go and keep going and work. You know, if Carlos didn't go and use the money he got from the Army to go to school, he would never have met Russ, and Russ would have never told him that I'm going over to this school to do animation. And boom, there's no like kickstarting it by himself online at home. That's like a fairy tale to me. I really do. And I haven't said much about it, but I truly believe that. So really check yourself, talk to people, talk to parents. You know, some people don't want to talk to parents. talk to someone that you respect. If you're a younger listener, or you're in college now, or you're thinking about just doing the online thing, whatever, talk to somebody about how you are, and then like take a self gut check to see if this is how, if you're the type of person that can like, you know, be self autonomy and learn online. There's a bunch of places you can do it online, but at the same time, it's all the other stuff. It's waking up, it's sitting at your computer, it's going to class, you know, at your computer. Can you do all those things just by learning by yourself, or do you need that structure for 1 or 2 years? Maybe not go for 4, maybe go for a year, and it gives you enough structure and enough like meetings with professors or some other people that like now you can take it further. There's another guy I know of, his name is Adam McMahon. He works at Blue Sky, and he went to AI with me also. I remember him being in a team animation class the first part of the quarter and then just leaving and never seeing him again. And then he went on to work at an animation studio for the VeggieTales here in Illinois. That was, what is that studio called? I can't remember what the studio was called. And then from there, Big Idea. And then from there, he got on at Blue Sky. He's been there ever since. But he'll tell you that like he got to a point in school where he's like, I don't want to do this more. I think I got this. But he had structure no matter what he says now. I think he still had structure and gave him structure, gave him some kind of skills to say, yo, I'm at a point now where I've squeezed everything I can out of where I'm at. I'm going to save some money and just be done now. And I've heard a lot of people do that too. Be done after a year, be done after 2 years, took some kind of course, you know, online and realized, oh, I can do this, and did it. So really look and be introspective about that things, you know. Just wanted to say that.
How about you, Jack? What's your one tip to break into the industry? Win automation.
One tip. One tip. No, but I mean, in that's a valid thing. I think is expose yourself. You have to let go of everything being your baby and everything being so personal and so from the heart, and realize you're trying to do this professionally as a job. You have to realize that therefore means that the work is not personal. It's a service. So you have to expose it. You have to put it out there, get people's eyes on it, because when people start seeing it, that's when things happen. The fewer people that see it, the fewer chances you have of making it anywhere. I mean, what's that saying? You know, the baseball one. You miss a million pitches. How does that stupid thing go?
You miss 100%.
Hockey. It's hockey.
No, it's
you miss all the shots you didn't. Well, anyway, everybody knows it.
You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's the biggest one. Like we said earlier in the show, you know, if you're going to work at a Walmart, work at a Walmart across the street from the studio you want to work at. If you can get a job at anything in that studio, get that job, and that will connect you to the right people. If you can work with the people who get you jobs from your school, work there. You know, you get connected and just expose yourself and your work. You have to make yourself somewhat vulnerable before any risk and any actual activity can happen. Because a constant shield to protect yourself means exactly that. You will be protected from all opportunity.
Yeah. Definitely put yourself out there.
Yeah.
I used to always say with that, it's a barometer of like when you post your stuff online, post your stuff. You know, there's these places like if you're going to do game art, like Polycount, you know, Teacher Society. And like I used to have students do it in like their sophomore year, you know, or whatever, because like that's when it starts to click and they start to, you know, have a model that they think is amazing, but you have to develop your taste. That's why I'm a big proponent of like Pinterest. You know, we make jokes about it all the time, but really what I'm doing is I'm taking in what I think looks good and what's good was perceived to be good art, so that like when I make something similar, like I have a level of to put it against. And a lot of times when you're first starting out, you don't have that level of what's good, because everybody thinks that first model when they finish, they're so high from finishing it. Oh, that looks good. Or that first drawing, man, this looks really nice. I like this, and you want to post it up. When you post it up, you put yourself out there, like Jack says. And if you get no response or it's crickets, make another one because maybe it's not as good as the one you just did. And each time it's going to get better, better. So I've had people come to me like pissed, like really angry, like no one's posted my stuff. It's pretty decent. You said it was decent, right? I'm like, no, it's okay, but that's why I had you post it, because they don't know you like I know you. So like they don't know if it's good or not. I've seen where you've come from before, and from where you are now, it's decent. But is it good enough to get you a job? No, it's not good enough to get you a job yet. So I'm blunt like that. So people online are gonna be blunt like that too. But like we said with DaCosta stuff and like all the independent stuff, if it's good, it's gonna rise to the top. If it's good and you're posting and people see that your work ethic's there, from whatever you want to do, web comics, 3D art, film effects, live action film, post it on Vimeo, post your stuff out, send it to film festivals. If it doesn't get in, it doesn't get in. Maybe it was good, maybe it wasn't. Do it again. You keep doing it, it's a numbers game. It's gonna happen. You keep applying everywhere and getting better, it's gonna happen. I know for a fact.
Yeah.
Applying at places. I applied for hundreds of places. Even while I was teaching, I was applying every day, like throwing my resume out there. And that's with work experience, So imagine how hard it is without. So keep going, do it. It's a numbers game, and look, it'll happen. But what people do is they give up at times. So don't give up.
Yeah.
They blame schools they went to. They blame not having this or that. Don't, just keep doing it and get better. Cool thing about being human, we remember stuff and get better the more we do it.
So I'm gonna throw out the Captain Obvious one.
Cool.
There's a process to applying for jobs. So always have your resume ready and updated, because you just never know when something is about to pop off. Have a cover letter, but learn how to write a cover letter, and whenever you go to apply to a job, know that you have the ritual, I guess, or the routine. You want to know the routine of DaCosta, yes, you did miss your question. You want to have the routine of writing a cover letter, but you don't want it to be just a blanket cover letter. Hello, my name is la la la.
Yeah,
I think I would be a wonderful addition to your. No, actually write a letter to these companies and tell them why. Why is it that you want to work there? And actually tell them, give them a little bit of your personality.
Yeah.
Because everyone says, hello, my name is Carlos. I am a 3D artist. I would really love to work at Blizzard. Everyone does that. Not everyone actually gives them the personality, right?
And tell them what they can do for them. Yeah.
And then here, we're going to go even deeper. I didn't even mean to go this deep.
Here we go.
Have your work online. Charlie said, have your work online and Jack, have your work exposed so people can get to it, because you have no idea. There's companies, and we've heard stories, companies look online now to see if you have any work, to see if people actually like you, to see if they want to spend time into, calling you and bringing you in and spending an hour with you to interview you and all that stuff. Have your work online, have a resume ready, have a routine of this cover letter. And I'm going to tell you, this last one is something that no one does. And well, I'm not going to say no one, because I do it, and it's gotten me job upon job. You go out, you have your work online, people can see it. They kind of like it. You send them a cover letter and a resume. The resume is the blah version of you. The cover letter should sell you and who you are and your personality. That's what gets you in the door. Now, let's say you did get the interview. This is the one that no one ever does. go back, you have their business cards, write them a thank you note. Thank you for taking the time. I thought I wanted to work with you guys before. After talking to you guys, I want to work there even better, even worse now than before I came to see you.
Right. Yeah.
Right. That thank you letter is a classy move that not many people do.
You're very right.
No, and that wasn't even gonna be my answer. That's what you guys triggered. That's what you guys triggered. My answer was gonna be something very similar to what you guys said. Stay active, because if you don't use your creative muscles, you get creative rigor mortis. How many people have you talked to ever that said, "Oh, you draw? Oh my God, I used to draw."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you?
Yeah.
Why don't you? You have a piece of paper and a pencil at least with you the majority of the day. Draw something. Stay active. And if you really, really, really want to be, a 3D artist and all this stuff, if you take a day off, let's just say, you're going up against people who don't take days off. You're going for a job that people with industry experience are also going for.
Mm-hmm.
You need to keep that in mind, because you're going for there's a set number of jobs out there, and then you have these schools that become factories that just pump these kids out. So now all you guys are going for that one job. You need to stay active. And worst case scenario, you have a situation, again, kind of like DaCosta, where DaCosta is working on his own projects. At least at the end of the day, he's got this film that's coming out. You know how wonderful that film is going to be on his resume?
Mm-hmm.
These small little projects that you do are going to set you apart from the other people that don't do this. And again, at the end of the day, you're working on your own ideas. These are all your properties. You have no idea who's watching. DaCosta might wake up tomorrow and see, and like a Pixar might come and see his thing and be like, "Holy crap, that's a great idea. We never thought of it. Here's a bucket of money." We don't know. But the thing is, DaCosta is constantly moving, constantly working on things, constantly. And that's what's cool. That's what's going to set you apart from everyone else. These companies are looking for people that go above and beyond, that really love to do what it is that they're looking for someone like you. So they want someone who's passionate about it, not someone who's just going to do it because they didn't want to be an architect. They don't want to hire someone that, I became a 3D artist because I just really didn't want to be a lawyer. They don't want those people. They want people that eat, sleep, breathe this stuff. So stay active. That's it for me. Moving on.
All right, we've got just a few more. Let's power through them. Ryan Brockmeyer.
Hey, Sketchstone. I was wondering if you guys were familiar with Google Tilt Brush, and it's kind of like a live painting, virtual reality type thing. I'm just curious to know what you guys thought about that. Bye.
We have Google. We have Tilt Brush.
Ryan Brockmeyer is the director. Again, someone who's working on his own. Midway Documentary is the history of Chicago hip hop. Ryan was working at an ad agency, working for really cool people like Sprint. And one day he was just like, "I can't do this anymore. I have to work on my own stuff." And he did it. He did it. Or he's doing it. Let me say that. He's doing it. He's currently doing it. So if you go to midwaydocumentary.com,
plug.
Go ahead, Charlie. Sorry.
Google Tilt Brush. It's a really cool interactive VR game. We have it at the studio. Google's made there's been a bunch of other ones that's copied it, but Tilt Brush is kind of cool because you're painting with particles. So imagine putting on the VR headset, you're in a totally black room, and you have a proverbial like smock that you can grab paint from, and you can just paint in 3D. So if you want to build a little house in front of you and then get in the house and build other stuff, you can. So it's like building with paint. Think of like Painter, but in 3D, where paints. And then if you want to then change the opacity or turn up the intensity, you can start turning up the intensity, and now everything's like you could paint with sparkles and like stars. It's a really cool interactive tool. There's been a lot of things. There's a lot of VR like meetups and stuff that happen here in the city. Different things are happening at different music festivals and stuff like that, where some of these guys, a lot of in the music industry, are using it for like performance art and stuff like that at different venues and stuff like that. Now, that's Tilt Brush, but then you also have things like called Oculus, the Medium. Was it Oculus Medium? No, is it? I'll look it up in a second.
Oculus Large?
No, I think it's
Oculus
Medium.
Wall.
Oculus Jenkins.
Oculus Jenkins. Remember that? Go watch that. Go watch that episode. That episode is amazing. Medium's like the same thing, but it's for.
They also have Quill, which is like another. Yeah.
So Medium is your 3D thing. So think of like ZBrush, but in 3D space. So you're sitting there sculpting in the round, and then Quill is the 2D aspect. So there's already been a really good animation that's been made with Quill, and it was up for a I want to say an Oscar or something like that for short film or whatever. Yeah. So go look at those things. It's this whole creating in the round. It's almost like harking back to old school, where you go up, you're in the park and you watch some guy do an ice sculpture like during Christmas time or something like that here in Chicago, right? At the zoo or something. He's out there with the chainsaw and he's going at it, and you can walk all the way around him while he's working on it. That's kind of the same thing once you hook up like a green screen and a camera and a third like Vive controller or whatever, and now you can actually watch the person create these things. If you go on YouTube, and the coin term they're using in my industry for these things is called it's not virtual reality, but mixed reality. So if you look up the keyword on YouTube, mixed reality, Oculus Tilt Brush or Tilt Brush, Google Tilt Brush, and then or Oculus Medium, or any one of these things, or just mixed reality in general, you can watch people experience VR where they have a setup where they're using a camera, they've lined up the camera with the in-game camera and put themselves in front of a green screen, and now you can watch what these people do in VR. So mixed reality is a new term that's out there now. Look it up, and it's like that. Tilt Brush is at the forefront of those things for performance capture and all those things. And as an artist, it's great.
How many of these Tilt Brush softwares are going to have the theme music from Ghost? My darling.
And then you gotta like go around the other person using it.
Grab another controller.
You grab the controllers from behind.
And then it all falls apart.
Awkward.
All right. The next one we just got 3 more. We're going to speed through them. The next ones are very similar. They're clearly only for Carlos and Charlie because I know nothing about this. We got Nicole Fazio and Mike Chubb. I'll play them back to back.
Hey, who do you think is going to win the World Series this year? Do you think the Cubs are going to repeat, or do you think the Dodgers are going to take it? I want to know.
What do you know? What do you know? What do you know? This is Mike Chubb. What's going down? Listen, here's the question, the end-all question. It's the best question you're going to get. Are the Cubs going to win the World Series again?
I have one question. I wonder if Mike Chubb has finally finished that salad.
He's still working on it. I got one question.
So I only had one question so you can finish the other one, so you can get back to the salad.
That's all you guys, because I don't know and I don't care.
I'm not a baseball fan at all. So this is all Carlos. I like how she put the Dodgers in there.
All I'm gonna say is that right there.
World champs 2016.
Yeah.
Don't get greedy. Don't get greedy.
I'm not trying to be greedy. I'm just saying that people much smarter than me, these the guys that do the math in Vegas, are favoring the Cubs to win it all, even though the Dodgers do have a really good team.
Is it a good new team, or is it this? Were they good like this last year? Is it the same team?
They have a very the Cubs or the Dodgers?
The Dodgers, because I knew
the Dodgers have had this strong, seasoned core, and then they made a lot of really good trades this year. So they're going to be really good.
Yeah, that's why Miss Fazio's all about.
Plus, she lives down in LA, and she knows that whenever she says Dodgers, I want to punch her. Just kidding.
I like Jack's Cubs hashtag. Don't get greedy. Sorry. I think I might use that hashtag for the rest of the year. Let's go. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. So you know what time it is?
What? Are we still doing that?
Yeah. Gotta have you hear me. All right, guys. So this is the first time in show history that we have a industrial design person.
Ooh.
I'm gonna wait till last to share that one thing that caught my eye and caught my attention. But this, my friends, is Daniel Brunsteiner.
Yep.
Brunsteiner.
Brunsteiner.
Bet you he stole my work. I'm just kidding.
How about it? So he designed, he's got a bunch of really cool little things. This is a micro SD card, and he's got little designs on there. He designed this motorcycle real quick. Dope. I would ride this in a hurry. That's a dope ass bike. Let's see what else. So he's got this motorcycle here. Pretty sick.
What else?
So this is the one that I was like, I could hear the brakes of my brain slam and slide to a screeching halt when I saw this mess right here. We all know that we've been talking about how, admittedly, Apple's game has been lacking.
A little bit.
They released the iPhone, and then they just kind of put it on cruise control. Sorry,
not even cruise control.
This is like
it's like forward movement.
You're only going in one direction and to one.
They pressed in the clutch, and they're just like coasting.
Yeah, and that clutch is grinding hard.
Pause. So Daniel rethought if Apple came out with something like this, the MacBook Pro 2018, imagine the keyboard area. You can drop, this looks like you can drop an iPod in there.
Cute.
And so it basically turns into the keyboard is a screen. The mouse area is the entire square of all of this is a screen about the size of an iPad. Now what's cool is it's a virtual keyboard, so you can program it to do different things. So I can totally see this. Like if you have a Photoshop open, you can customize it to have shortcut keys.
Yeah.
And then you might as well just throw the Apple Pencil on there.
That would suck to type with on though.
Yeah, that's the one thing.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of those. Yeah, touchless keyboards.
It's flat. And if you've ever typed on an iPad,
it's not great.
It's not. And then if you look here, it's got this Taptic engine. I wonder if they can have the Taptic engine actually make it feel like there's keys. I don't know. But for something like this, I would totally use it because I have a MacBook Pro. I connect it to a box and I have a keyboard. Cables coming all out of this box. So I have an external keyboard on it anyway. So I would lose all my money on this machine. And with that, friends,
Nice.
I would say
if you go to let me see. Yeah, if you go to behance.net/Brunsteiner, BRUNSTEINER.
Nice.
Behance.net/Brunsteiner.
Charles. Well, he hates us. He said, "I don't have somebody. I'm quitting now." All right. I dig this guy, Raul Urias.
Hit the wrong button.
Raul Urias. So he's like he's an illustrator, but he does these kind of interesting Mesoamerican kind of tribal inspired characters. But the colors and the line work are just pretty nutty.
Look at my man's eyeballs.
Yeah. I mean, that's good stuff. And he's on Instagram, so he's always posting these new characters. But and here we go with my internet. But anatomy is spot on, and then he gets to these ones where he kind of exaggerates it a little bit and makes like traditional like Mesoamerican facial and mask designs.
Are these still digital, not screen or anything? Okay, these are digital.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they're digital.
I thought they're like screen prints or something like that. I like the colors. Just the colors are flat, but they're very vivid. He has like the
it's got the kind of the
stipple
half tone. Yeah, he's got like using half tones, and then he's got like cross hatching and stuff.
Which is cool to use it with such bright colors.
Yeah,
that's like style. That's like really cool. Like Nico's talking about having your own style. That's really.
And then his more recent stuff has been like a little more realistic, kind of James Jean style.
Oh, cool.
These are like super high res images. They take forever to load. But this is Raul Urias, Urias, and he's on Tumblr and Instagram and Behance.
Cool.
Very nice. Thank you, Joaquin.
All right. My guy, and this time I won't change the wrong tab. My guy is Mr. James W. Kane. I like this guy because he puts his middle name. So it reminds him my full name. I like when people use their full name. He sounds like a cowboy, but he is a digital sculptor. This is his personal website. And let's go through some of his stuff. He does 3D prints and miniatures. And he sculpts stuff. So like he doesn't have a lot, but he does have really nice breakdowns of each of his stuff. So this is a project called Guardians. This project, he wanted to focus on how far he can push 64-bit ZBrush on his system for rendering. And then he rendered it in Keyshot, which is a render program used for visualization and product design. So it's really fast and it renders a really nice global illumination without having to use, the normal renderer you find in the animation software. Standalone, it's really fast, so it's really big in the product design world. But looks really good in ZBrush because ZBrush, as a sculpting program, kind of is a generalist, and now it's branched out from just film and games to architectural stuff to sculpting for museums and digital printing and the whole nine. So he's trying to push the quality so that means he's taking a lot of time and zooming way in and putting minute details and stuff. So every crack and crevice and stuff, because if anybody's ever used ZBrush, when you start getting into the billions of polys, because you spent time like sculpting each individual hair strand, your computer will start to chug, But ZBrush lets you keep adding it if your computer handles it, you know. So there's the original look from ZBrush. This is actually the Keyshot, you know, softer rendering of it. So that's that one. Let's move on. I'll pick up the pace a little bit here. So that's like some like examples of his original sculpts, and he just has some really good stuff here. Here's some portrait stuff. I think this is James Harrington. And then we got some miniature stuff he's done. Let's go to the miniatures. So this is some designs he's done for miniatures, you know, really cool. So all you guys, if you know anything about Dungeons and Dragons or any of those type of like board games, the board game industry in general, you know, anytime you look, if you got kids or anything, they've these little games they have where they have the little, somebody has to make those and sculpt those and stuff like that. So for you character artists and game artists and whatever, they're character artists or VFX artists or character artists, it's another good little side gig to get into. Think outside the box. You make characters already in models. Why not make them so they'd be printed out, you know? Really cool. I love this one here. With the
nice.
You know, it's really cool. Yeah. And we got some 3D prints. These are cool. So some of those things we saw earlier, he actually had them printed, you know.
Oh, nice.
Really cool, right? Like it's like, was it just 2D, just 3D in the computer, and now he physically is on his desk. I love that aspect of 3D printing. You know, here's another one. Awesome 3D.
Those are good quality prints. I don't know what
Look at this. Look at this. Look at the 3D one. The resin, you know, with the gray. Yeah. Look at that. Oh, looks great in real life. Good job, man. Good job, James.
Nice.
Look at you. And then just some fan art from a game called Dishonored, which has a really unique style. Jack, I would say you look up the game Dishonored. It's really cool. You'd like the style and the premise of the narrative also. It's a really good like game that's very unique in style. Oh, look at that. That's awesome. He gets some really cool resins that he uses also. Like this black one I don't see often. This black resin that he's using, that's like cool. And it's even got the like sculpt lines from where he's made it with the tablet. That's awesome. Cool. So that's it. That's that guy. This guy, his name is James W. Kane. And look like he's on ArtStation, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagrams. Just look him up. There's his ArtStation. See? More. There's this too. Oh, that's a really good one too.
So with that said, I wanted to thank Fitzmaurice. Thank you.
He's gonna get it.
Steve Carrillo, Deborah Altsky, DeCosta, Dave Atsey, Dave Punk, Mike Chubb, Mike Henry, not Mike Henry, whoever that other guy was.
Strong guy.
Nicole Fazio, Ryan Brockmeyer, Scott Carey, and I think I said Steve Carrillo already. So thank you guys all for using the Sketchzone hotline. And
I think we got everybody. Yeah, cool.
We yeah, it was really cool. It's happy 100 episodes. I did want to take a minute to thank you guys for being a part of it. It's you guys are definitely one of the highlights of my week. And yeah, we're gonna continue to do it as long as I'm around.
There it is.
As long as I'm around, I would love to continue doing this. If I'm not around, you guys obviously can continue doing it. It'd be really cool if I was alive and part of it.
Let's just stop talking. Let's just move on.
It's late.
Okay.
So, hey, Charlie.
Yes.
If people are looking for you online, where can they find you?
Find me in a couple different spots. Find me at my website, which is cargocollective.com/Charlie B. Williams. It's my portfolio site. You can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/CharlieBW3. It's my artist page there. You can find me on Twitter, CBW3. Instagram is CharlieBW3. Pinterest, yep, CharlieBW3 also because my name is long and CharlieBW3 works. Pinterest.com, get that in your life. Get all that stuff in your life. That's where you can find me.
Get it in your life. Hey, Jack, if people are looking for you online, where can they find you?
I am at sketchbookjack.com and sketchbookjack everywhere else, including Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest.
Cool.
And I am Carlos Gomez, and you can find me at basically coconutjustice.com, Coconut Justice everywhere else.
Coconut Justice!
El Wapo!
Give him the Coconut Justice, El Wapo!
Coconut Justice is about to give, or no, El Wapo is about to give Coconut Justice!
Oh, hang on.
What? What?
We
What
missed a
happened?
soundbite.
Oh, really?
Oh, is it going to be the girl?
I don't think it's terribly important, but let's play it anyway.
Oh, please.
Greetings, friends. This is Robert Taylor. First, I wanted to say congratulations on your 100th show. I think we are all genuinely surprised you guys made it past 8. I have been told to leave a question.
Thanks, Robert.
And therefore I am. My question is as follows. Why are you guys artists? What was that thing that popped in your mind that made you say, I have to create, and why? Thanks so much. I can't wait to listen to the podcast, and I can't wait to co-host it soon.
You dropped that in there.
What did he say, Dan?
Can't wait to
I can't
co-host
wait
it.
to co-host it soon.
Yeah. Wait a minute, before we answer this question. Yeah. Really? Just wait to the very end.
Yep.
Robert's gonna.
Hey, Robert. April freaking Fools.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because he's been dogging me all week with these stupid things, and I've tried and I've tried and I've tried, and he always gets me. So hopefully, he thought we were for real wrapping up without his question.
He was gonna be livid because he's gonna listen to the whole show thinking that you're gonna put him first or something, and he's gonna get more and more.
No, we're already closing out the show, signing off.
Yeah.
But let's do this quick because we're at 3 hours, folks.
Oh man.
All right. What is it that made you want to be an artist? What is that tick? What is it?
I'll go first. The main thing that made me want to be an artist is I, from a very young age, get really wrapped up in creative things, in movies and in books. Even when parents used to read books to me and stuff like that, I get wrapped up in movies. I generally get excited. So I have to figure out some way of getting that excitement out after watching the movie. And rather than just saying it was a good movie or whatever, even when I was younger, I'd go home and draw. I'd go home and act them out. So I figured as I got older, I need to find a way to get excited. I still go and watch good movies and what movies artists deem to be crappy movies also. I generally have a good time when I watch stuff. So when I make stuff, I get that same type of feeling. So I figured, why not do this and give that feeling to someone else?
Yeah, I'll echo that a little bit. I mean, in some respect, the question's it's difficult to answer because I don't know that there was a moment that caused it. I've just kind of always been that way. I mean, we're one of the few creatures on this planet that makes stuff. I mean, birds make nests, but I don't want to be a bird. I'm a human, and I want to make bigger, better stuff than some bird nest.
Yo, is that the title of the show?
I want to be a bird. No, but for real, what I mean, that was pretty abstract. But what
title?
That was pretty abstract. But
Birds
what
make stuff, but I don't want to.
What I mean by that is we make stuff because it's our. Not only is it a pastime, is it make us happy? Is it an activity? But it's kind of like an outlet to make sense of us, to make sense of life around us, and to explore things that are in our heads and things that we see around us. And it's simultaneously therapeutic. It's also the worst horrific process sometimes. I don't know. To me, it's kind of I'm not in the head of someone who isn't creative and doesn't create stuff, but to me it is kind of the essence of being a human.
Cool. Yeah, that works. Carlos, wrap it up.
For me, it's, I mean, super simple. I just like making things.
Yeah.
Whether it's a website, a podcast, drawing. The cool thing about, for me, 2D drawing, the cool thing is it continues to challenge me, and I need that. I get bored super fast with something. And so drawing is that one thing that I've always, for my entire life, I've always loved doing, and I've always tried to be better at it. It's just always been a part of me. So that's a very, very short answer to a very long story.
Make things. Make things.
I like,
Cool. That works.
and
Thanks,
I like
Robert.
being challenged. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Robert.
So yeah. Thanks, Robert.
All right.
Gotta get you.
We've done it.
With
100
my friend.
episodes.
That's it. 100. Yeah. So everyone, see you next week.
See ya.
See you guys.